Hey, welcome back to GhettoRig episode number 24. I had to take a
Goddamn,
second
24.
second take. And although it's 24, but we're using the wrong um screenshot, not the screenshot.
Our thumbnail
Hey, it
says
wouldn't be
22.
GhettoRig if it was correct. So, hey guys, welcome back. While you're here, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button right away, guys. And then in the meantime, I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly introduce my buddy Aaron. He's the guest speaker today, and then we're gonna have one more person join a little bit later. He's a little bit late. He's on Cuban time, and people in Cuban time are a little bit late sometimes. But yeah. So I met Aaron in jiu-jitsu, and became friends with him, and then I later found out that he does a super cool job. So I'm gonna let Aaron kind of introduce himself and tell a little bit about himself.
Hey, so my name's Aaron. I work for an elite Seakeeper dealer, and to get into that, Seakeeper is a marine product, and what we do is we provide gyro stabilization. So everybody's used to being on boats and sea conditions and waves. What they do is it makes for an uncomfortable ride. You're rolling back and forth. The gyro stabilizer, the Seakeeper, it eliminates boat roll. So essentially, you're getting a more comfortable ride. You're enjoying the conditions a little bit more, and
Yeah.
it eliminates fatigue, stress, and the big thing, boat roll. And we accomplish that by our product, which is Seakeeper, a marine gyro stabilizer.
Awesome. So tell me more about how to, obviously you were, little, and then you kind of grew up and then
Yeah.
got to work with this company. So how did that whole progression work? Obviously, school here and there, and then did you go to college? Didn't go to college, went into, how did that whole thing start?
I did. I went to a community college back in my
Hell yeah, that's
hometown.
what I'm talking about. Save that money.
Yeah. So problem with going to a community college in your hometown is hometown problems, right? So
Yeah.
um,
Where was hometown?
so hometown's Crestview, Florida. It's about, most people know, and the easiest way to describe it is 30 minutes away from Destin, Florida.
Okay.
So everybody knows Destin, nobody knows Crestview. It's a small little hick town, 15 miles from the Alabama state line. So I went to school for
So you're one of them kids driving in Alabama buying them fireworks on every
Yeah,
every
buying
every
fireworks and
season.
and chewing tobacco with a fake ID. Yeah, that was me. But yeah, so I grew up Panhandle of Florida, South Alabama. Um, from there, went semester and a half of college. Was like, this isn't for me. I'm gonna do one or two things: join the military or go work in the oil and gas. Went to start working offshore. It's like, this is hard. I don't like it. So kind of followed my dad's
So,
footsteps.
Asking about that, when you were doing the offshore thing, how many girls would you say were on a rig with you?
If I don't know, there's 150 guys, depending on the rig, depending on if it was a drill ship or if it was a platform. One, two,
Okay.
and most of them were BR hands, like bedroom, like they were your stewardess, your cooks. They worked in the kitchen or cleaned linen and stuff like that.
Okay.
Occasionally, you would run into like a badass chick that's like a offshore diver, and everybody's just, by then, 18. You're just too scared to talk to them, so you just keep your head down.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I broke the chain of thought. You're saying you followed your dad's footsteps, and then
Yeah, so my dad did something similar. He worked offshore, and then he had enough of it and joined the Air Force. So I essentially did the same thing. Gave offshore a try.
I bet your dad was like, I fucking told you.
Yeah,
I told you so.
From 18, he was just like, join the military. And I was like, nah.
Hey, what's up, Charles? We see you in a chat.
Charles Davidson.
That's Charles, the purple belt Charles. He
Oh,
rolls
yeah.
with us.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's up, Charles? So from there, where was that? Offshore.
Yeah.
Joined the Air Force. I decided, because the game plan was, I'm gonna join the Air Force. I'm gonna get a job in the Air Force that I can do outside.
Hey guys, give us a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear everybody well, and if you can't, just let us know and we'll adjust all that for you.
So went in as a diesel mechanic.
Oh, so in the Air Force you were doing that's what you were doing. You were a diesel mechanic
Yep,
in
I
the Air
was
Force.
assigned to the 823rd
So-
Red Horse.
So to answer that zombie apocalypse question, I'm gonna have him as part of the crew to work on that diesel engine on that bus. Because last episode what we did was so
Alex
Alex
mentioned
was
the
asking
question
a
of
question.
what car and what upgrades would you do if the zombie apocalypse came
I
on?
get this question a lot because I drive my Land Cruiser.
Uh-huh.
It's a 1984 Land Cruiser.
Oh
that's
yeah, he's
badass.
big into cars too. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's
old school
badass.
cars.
My uncle has I think it's either late 80s or early 90s as well, turbo diesel one.
Yeah.
That's badass
think it's
in
an 82.
DR.
It's an 84, but it's a naturally aspirated, non-turboed Land Cruiser. So I get that question a lot. Like, what would you? I would say I would take my Land Cruiser because it doesn't have a computer. It's
Yeah.
whatever happens, it's gonna work. But I was just talking to my dad about this last night. If that's the case and you're the only vehicle on the road, I feel like somebody's just gonna jack you for it, and then it's like that's a wrap. Like all the smiles are gone. So
Yeah. But what upgrade would you like first thing?
Yeah, his question was, what upgrades
Oh.
would you do?
Yeah, as well as what car?
But
and
let
what
me
upgrade?
tell you what he said he would do. He said he
Nah,
would
his-
drive a
his-
VW and
a
basically
Beetle. Yeah,
Bug,
Beetle.
VW Bug, like an old school VW Bug. Basically, coat that whole fucking thing in Vaseline and all kinds of shit, so they can't grab onto it because it's all like round. It doesn't have corners,
Right.
and then he would just put like oil from from any McDonald's.
Yeah, he
like,
said he'd make sure to get the TDI, the diesel one, and talking about he could do vegetable oil.
Look at that James Bond stuff. Like
Yeah.
the wall out the back.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I mean, if I had to pick which vehicle, I think I would try to find one of those Toyotas from like the UAE, like Dubai or something that's a bulletproof, fully decked out. Because they're already ready. I mean, what are you gonna do if you can't shoot through it, right?
yeah.
Just keep going. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I probably
Unless
would
zombies
put
start
oil on.
shooting RPGs,
Is
I
this
don't
a
think
zombie
it matters.
apocalypse?
yeah, zombie
Oh,
apocalypse.
okay. I see. I didn't know. I thought it was like normal people.
No,
No, that's
That's
not
why he's
normal
normal
people.
people.
that's
I don't want to be in a car if there's zombies. What kind of zombies? That matters too.
yeah. That was the question too. Is like, are we dealing with like World War Z zombies here, or Walking Dead, or
You just have a horse.
yeah? I think the horse is really smart.
Yeah.
In that kind of situation,
And
because it's
if-
quiet.
If he was
It's,
out,
se-
he
it's
would
more
coat it
quiet
in
than a
Vaseline
car
so
on
nobody
average.
can.
Less problems. All you gotta do is goddamn feed the thing.
Yeah, for fuel
Yeah, but-
economy.
They can also bite your horse.
Yeah, they can also get stuck in your tire and then your car's fucked. Break a swing arm and you're done. Literally, like their fibia just tumor just goes through, boom, and they're done. The
Yeah.
car's done as well. This is easy. The horse is less maintenance.
So you were saying, and then you did the army,
Air Force, yeah.
Air Force, and then you did you were a mechanic. Buddy of mine actually was doing that too. He was in Air Force. We worked together, and he does something different now, but that's what he did too. He was a mechanic in Air Force.
Yeah, so little did I know, 4 years in the Air Force, I thought, I've been a diesel mechanic. I'm going to find a good job. I remembered when I was offshore, they were like, yeah, diesel mechanics make $150 grand a year. So I was like, cool. Started applying Chevron, Shell, BP, all, Schlumberger, Halliburton. And they were like, how long were you a mechanic? And they were like, oh, yeah, we're looking for somebody with 10 to 15 years. And I was like, oh, shit. So
I worked double time,
Yeah.
but I put it.
So at that point, started at the bottom, roustabout.
Yeah, bring
Drilling-
this, bring this
yeah,
a little
sorry.
closer. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, just bring it a little closer.
So
I can see it.
roustabout, drilling rig, and then worked my way into a third-party company doing some boring stuff, subsea stuff below the waterline, decommissioning rigs. And
So you were
platforms.
drilling. You were not diving for the shit. Like you were not welding or anything
My
like.
first, before I joined the Air Force, I was on a drilling rig. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it started at the very bottom. I think 2006, it was $12.50 an hour, but by your third day, you're already making overtime and time and a half, and it was different. I mean, you're out there 28 on, 28 off, and then I had enough of that. That got old.
Oh,
quick.
so when you were off, so you're 28 on and 28 off. So what do you do during the time that you're 28
Well,
off?
you work 12-hour days,
Mhm.
so once your 12 hours is up, you want to sleep 8. So then you have 4 to do something. They have a gym, they have a movie room, they have like a lot of people play poker and ping pong, and some depending on the rig or the platform, they'll have a pool. So
Pool like a swimming pool or like pool?
like
With like
billiard
pool?
Yeah.
pool.
I was gonna say you're in the middle of water. You want to swim? Just jump off the side.
No, you can't do that. Some people do. You can go fish. You're not supposed to, but you can. So between the rigs, the Air Force, I went back out to the rigs, subsea work, doing some decommissioning, abrasive cutting. Pretty much fast tracked that to a supervisor, and then ran a crew, 13-man crew offshore. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
Usually go to bed this time. But I did that for for 6 years. Last 2 years was in Trinidad. Did a few rotations out there, working in Trinidad. It's
I bet you got some wild stories about Trinidad, huh?
Trinidad was fun. It was fun.
Because people are super fun and like party loving and like good food.
Real.
Huh?
Island time's real.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. They
and they probably loved you guys because you came in American money, so you were just like you were the coolest people out there.
I mean, yes and no. A few times, because we were on a ship at that point, and there'd be a few times where we'd get into dock, we'd go through customs, we'd go to the boat, and it wasn't doing anything. So we would just go fuck off, go to the Hilton, and stay for a few days. And they liked us, but at the same time, Trinidad's the only place where I've actually been like an illegal alien because I overworked my work visa by 2 months. So when I was leaving, you've been overseas into South America and Central America, but the airport, the little notification tone sounds like was it Greece, like the ding ding ding. Like, so when they heard my name come over the intercom, they told me to go check in with customs. I did. They stamped my passport. I couldn't come back for a year. So
oh shit!
Yeah,
I was gonna ask you that.
I was actually I was working there illegally, so that was they didn't like me then, but you give them some cash and they let you go. So
nice.
But
So have you been back to Trinidad since?
that was the last time I went back. The company they couldn't send me for a year, so it was almost like my contract there was done. We were doing a lot of work for BP. I mean, so the 2 years, go out there for 4 weeks, work over if I had to, and I mean, we may have worked, I don't know, 10 hours a week. Like, we were just on standby waiting. They were just paying us.
But the company knew that you were overstaying your visa, right?
Oh, yeah, they knew. It was coming up at the end of the contract with BP, so I think
so they're like, just whatever, just do your thing and then call it a day.
Yep, the oil field was in like a weird spot at that time.
What year was this?
So that would have been 2014.
Okay, that was right at that time when, that would
have been 2014. But I bounced around with that. Got to see all different parts of the Gulf, the Caribbean. From there.
But you yourself are like your background is from the Caribbean, right? Or no?
Actually, so no, my background is my mom is Mexican. She's half Mexican, and she's full Mexican. One of my grandparents is from Mexico, the other one's from Texas, but she's Mexican. And then my dad is from South Louisiana, like Cajun. Yeah, so I guess that could be Creole Cajun. It's somewhat Caribbean. But
any Spanish in there?
So I'm the youngest of 5 that does not speak Spanish.
No.
Yeah. She gave up.
So you got 4 more that are older than you. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
I'm sorry, I got 6. I'm the youngest of 6.
Oh, you
I
left one out.
I left one out. You started talking. I was like, wait a minute. 3 sisters, 2 brothers. Yeah. The youngest.
So all right. So it was through Louisiana. Then you did the college. Then you did on the rigs. And then what happened after that?
The rigs. So yeah.
Like after your Trinidad contract was over.
So after that, I was trying to make my way back. I kind of rekindled a relationship with a high school sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
And
so wait, you telling me you didn't have a Trinidadian girlfriend out there?
I'm not saying that at all. I can neither confirm or deny. It was Carnival was wild. The whole island. Every season is wild there.
Yeah. Yeah, because their carnival is pretty like legit.
I think theirs is the real one is Trinidad. That's the,
oh no shit.
I think that's the Jay-Z Big Pimpin' was Trinidad.
Oh no shit. Okay.
I think so. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
Somebody can Google fact check.
Yeah, it is
me.
what it is.
But from there, I made my way down to Fort Lauderdale, from Louisiana to Fort Lauderdale, and
what brought you to Fort Lauderdale?
A girl, yeah. And when I was moving from the South, a Southern boy, born and raised. I mean, I was stationed in California, so I got to experience a little. I traveled a lot with my jobs, but it's just Southern roots. So when I moved to Fort Lauderdale, it was like a culture shock. I hated it. I loathed it. I wanted to leave as soon as I got there, and I just recently moved to St. Pete from South Florida. I was like, man, I miss it. Like, I miss the busyness. And St. Pete's busy. I mean, I live close enough downtown.
No, but it's not Fort Lauderdale busy. It's not Miami
Tampa's
busy,
but it's not Fort Lauderdale. It's not Miami. Before I moved here, I was living in Jupiter, which I loved. But So I moved to Fort Lauderdale for a chick. Yeah. Obviously it didn't work out, but it was fun. I caught it. I started a job. Really moved down there with no job. I had talked to a guy over the phone. He's like, yeah, you can do this. And I kind of did the fake it till you make it. Like, yeah, I'll start. I got this company. I didn't. I could start an LLC. I didn't. He's like, I'll give you some money. You could start doing hydraulics. Because in the oil and gas, I did a lot of hydraulics. Went to school for hydraulics and that background. And the first day in South Florida working, I showed up from the oil and gas. That's my background. Showed up in steel toe boots and hard hat, and everybody thought I was the OSHA safety rep and stopped working. And I was on a 300-foot super yacht, and everybody's in flip-flops, and they're just like, what does this guy do? Who is this guy? So I learned real quick it's a different world down there. They don't, Miami doesn't believe in OSHA. They don't do that at the shipyards. But, yeah, from there, fake it till you make it. Had a bad business relationship with that guy. He wasn't paying. So the funny part about that is it's how I actually learned about Seakeeper. I was working on this boat, one of these yachts, and I'm doing the hydraulics for some quantum fin stabilizers and different type of fin stabilizers that I work on now. But I've been on there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then 4 weeks. I see these guys come in and they remove this, what I thought was a generator, and they come in and they're in and out in like a week. I was like, what is that? And they're like, that's a stabilizer. And I was like, then what am I doing? I've been here for almost a month. And he's like, it's a Seakeeper. And so that's what started. I started Googling it, started researching it. What is it? What does it do? How much does it cost? And about that time, I was having issues with the company. I wasn't even with them. They contracted me. I was 1099. I had to get an LLC and
And you weren't getting paid.
Well, he was just like upon completion type work. Like, I'll pay for the materials, and upon completion, we signed a contract. I'll pay you this. I didn't know. Had no idea what I was doing, but needed a job. Thought I loved this chick, so made it work. The best part about it is I had a little bit of cash saved up from the oil and gas that when it did really hit the fan, I just stopped. I turned in all this stuff. I said, look, dude, you don't have to pay me. I'm out. This isn't working out. But I didn't tell my girl at the time. So every day I would wake up and I would put on work clothes and I would leave.
That's awesome.
And I would go to the gym. And this was like 3 months. This wasn't like a week and I got caught. It was 3 months and I would just go to the gym. She worked in the hospital, so
awesome.
I knew her routine. And so I'd go to the gym, work out for a few hours, and come home and I'd just watch Seinfeld all day. And I was paying the rent. Well, she didn't know, but she had forgot something one day. Came home and I was just sitting there watching Seinfeld. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, she knew something was up because I had this GMC 1500 is like ignorant with 7.5 inch lift on 22s, I think. So she saw it at the gym one day and she knew. But yeah, so I got busted there. But at that time I knew about Seakeeper. So I thought back, I was like, I really liked that. That looked something like it was something I could get into. I applied, and it was like a month, 2 months. Finally, they reached out. But with that job, I started out as a technician out in the field. And for a short stint, I was like their only technician in the Southeast. So I bounced around everywhere, Caribbean, Bermuda. Sometimes I would have to shoot up to Ohio, Cleveland, Michigan, Chicago, and just
shit! So they were just sending you ass everywhere.
So I worked my way out of that relationship. Just if things were hard, I'd just be like, "We go schedule a job in Chicago for a week and Bermuda for a week, and just don't have to be home." So it worked out. I mean, it was awesome. But that's what led me to here. COVID kind of stopped. It cut Seakeeper short.
Yeah.
When COVID happened, I was part of the, we call it the Forever Furloughed group. Like, they furloughed us. They were going to bring us back, and then, what are you supposed to do for 90 days? Just
but you were doing like a technician, right? You were
by then, I went from a Seakeeper tech to the only Seakeeper tech in the Southeast to a service coordinator, Southeast service manager.
Oh, cool.
And then COVID happened. But, I was with Seakeeper for a little over 5 years, and during COVID, still had to eat, still had to pay the bills. So we all know that South Florida really didn't shut down. So with that, I had a good dealer network for Seakeeper since I used to manage everybody. Hit up my contacts and landed on my feet until I found the right company to work for.
So and how did you end up with this company? That's how?
Yeah, so I ended up with this company during COVID. I was furloughed from
like that.
Seakeeper. I went to go do some, air quotes, some consulting for people on how to, this is what you could do to get your service department up and running. This is how you should train your technicians. I did a lot of training. Then they brought me in.
So you're basically running these companies at this point.
Yeah, so I would run the company. I won't mention any of the names of the company. They do great work. There's personality differences in company.
Yeah, obviously.
And
Of course.
we didn't work well together. So my personality, I see a company that's new, that's struggling, they have, ambition. I'll go help them. Let me get them started. So I did that in Jupiter, and then it's a fickle industry. I mean, if you're a standout and people see that, they're gonna get contacted or try to get poached in that industry. So I got a contact from my boss now. He's the owner of Florida Stabilizers. Gave me an offer. Told the current company, I was like, hey, I got this offer. They were like, absolutely not. There's no way you're gonna make that much money. I was like, we'll
Watch
see.
me.
I said, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow.
Yeah.
Drove down to Fort Lauderdale, did an interview, and that's all she wrote. We started off with one location in the West Coast, and that was St. Pete. And from there, we have St. Pete, Sarasota, Naples. We're doing 3 installs right now, and then maintaining all the service for the product on the West Coast. There's other dealers out there, but I mean, we're running lean, but our guys are getting after it, and I think we've grown this
And
area 500%.
Real
Your-
quick, just to introduce Randy. This is Aaron here.
What's up, man?
This is basically like my cousin, aka my boss.
Okay. Nice.
So,
So your job currently is to basically run the
Yep.
franchise per se.
Yep. So for the West Coast, we have my counterpart. He runs the East Coast, and we do own 2 shipyards in Miami. So we own Norseman Shipyards, first shipyard in the Miami River, and then we have the service part of Black Point Marina and Kendall. I think it's Kendall.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah, so
Kendall,
it's-
by the way, guys, if anybody who knows Miami, Kendall is like a very rich area. Like there are
Yeah.
parts that are like it's one of the top ones.
so I saw that there's a new Seakeeper. No, I don't know if it's new, but something I didn't know about, the Seakeeper Ride. I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Right. What exactly is that?
So when does this is live, right? Does
Yeah.
it officially air?
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're gonna watch it, but if they watch it tomorrow, tomorrow's the official date that we can say that Florida Stabilizers is an official ride dealer. So
Okay.
I'll also be a dealer and refit for that. But what Ride is it's essentially 2 separate companies. So Seakeeper Ride brought to you by Seakeeper, and then you have
Okay.
Seakeeper Stabilizers. The Ride is it's like a gimbaled active control system. So what it's supposed to do is when you have your pitch on a boat, is the bow when it's
Yeah.
up and down, and you're moving like this. Roll is port to starboard. The Seakeeper is going to minimize and reduce roll, which is port to starboard, side to side. The Ride is essentially I don't want to call it a trim tab because it's not a trim tab. It's new technology. It's changing the game. What is it? It's a gimbaled trim tab that it's active. It's not proactive. It's proactive. It's not reactive. It's
Okay.
actually changing the way the boat drives. And
Gotcha.
rides.
So just to give you an idea, guys, whoever doesn't know what gimbal is those things that you'll have you'll see people have on their cameras, and they can just go like this and camera stays stable.
So it's pivoting on an axis, and the way it
Can you hear me?
No, I'm saying, do you hear that? Anybody else hear that on the right headphone?
Mm-mm.
No, maybe it was just my headphone. I don't know. I hear like a little,
It's all that pew pew,
a little
all,
static.
all
I
that
don't know.
all that team building we were doing earlier.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know where I was at.
Oh,
So
so
the
the-
Seakeeper Ride, yeah.
Seakeeper Ride, yeah. So, and what's really good about this is it's changing the game for smaller boating. The Seakeeper stabilizer itself is, we get the question a lot. I'd like to, I just can't put it on a boat that small, like as small boat as I have. But we actually, it's 23 foot and up. Really, it's endless on the size, the limits. The Ride, 21 foot to 37 foot, I think, 35 foot. It's in that market, and it's cheaper. It's more cost effective. And
Oh,
for what
so
you're gonna get.
Ride will replace this?
Nope.
No.
So they'll actually work together. You can do one or the other, or you can do both.
Oh, so ride controls
Yeah,
this.
from what I understand,
Seakeeper
it's
controls that.
basically helping.
Ride controls exactly what its name. Ride.
The ride.
Yeah,
As you're riding, and the
yeah.
Seakeeper just when you're in the waves. You know,
Still.
you don't
So
take
if
the
you're on a
beating.
boat and you're rolling back and forth, that's a seakeeper. If you're underway and you're going somewhere and you've ever been on a boat and it's just up and down, the chop's gross, it's nasty, it's all, it's you're all over the place, nobody's enjoying that. The ride, the active control system is gonna, you turn it on, it's immediate. It takes all that slop out of it, and the ride of that boat is changed.
So how is he dealing with the waves? Because as the boat approaches the wave, it gotta go up and then it drops. That's where you're
Right,
getting
so
this.
it's
So what
not
does it do?
I have a question after his too.
It's not gonna control pitch to where it stops it. It's gonna because
It's gonna make it smoother.
correct when you're going over a wave or through a wave, you always have that backside of the waves where there's gonna be open space. There's gonna be a void, and the boat's gonna either fill that space or the ride. All it's doing is just eliminating that slop.
So it's
you
kind of
have.
filling up that gap.
Yeah, it's
That's
just,
pretty
So
cool.
it kind of brings down the boat in a sense.
Kind of keeps
when
it
it's,
down.
when you're
Keeps it down.
Yeah, it keeps
Okay.
it down. It's not gonna bring it down. It's gonna keep it down.
Yeah.
So you don't have that bow movement.
Cool. Okay.
You don't want it to go up.
Yeah.
Now,
Essentially,
how
that's
is
what
that's
that-
what
doing.
mine
It
had.
keeps
That's
it-
the
it's
issue
skipping
I
it,
had. I
and it
had
still
no
goes up and
stabilizers
down.
or anything, and it was just pow, pow,
Yeah.
pow
Yeah.
all the time.
So now, how is that gonna affect? Because gas mileage on boats is a big thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, how does that affect the gas mileage?
So it actually improves your fuel economy.
No shit,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Smoother ride.
Smoother ride, man.
Less
You can get on
resistance.
plane quicker, smoother ride. It's not going to be, you're not going to be throttling in and out to maintain that slop. It's gonna actively do it.
So, by you yourself, you're not installing these necessarily service them. Not that you can't, but it's more. Your job is more to go out there and then talk to people. And
Yep. So I sell them, and then my technicians will.
are you on
install
a wholesale or per individual?
them. I don't know yet.
or
We'll
both?
see. It
Can-
could,
can I s-
we could one day.
So you said you started off as a technician, right? Working on these things. I have a theory. I bet that working as a technician first before selling them not only made you a better salesman, but I bet your technicians like you more than someone that didn't work on them before.
That's all subjective. Like I don't know.
I feel like
This
because I
one's
just
probably different.
I
now.
wouldn't say that. I mean,
like they
I
because
would say
I
they respect me for it because I know what they're dealing with.
like
Yeah.
for example, I just seen like before that whole similar situation where like a salesman will go out and promise something that they have no idea what they're not necessarily talking about, but like that's not realistic or something like that. You know what I mean?
I always.
So, I know what he's saying. He's basically saying you go out there and see an 18-foot boat and like, oh yeah, we'll put a seakeeper on this, and then the tech comes in and is like, bruh,
We can't
Like,
do this. Yeah.
there's no way.
Right.
Yeah.
Your typical salesman, they're just that's their goal is to get their nuts, sell it, and be done with it. The counter side of that is the flip side is it kind of I always say it makes me a bad salesman because I'm honest. I know what it's going to take. I'm not going to like just bullshit them. They can either do it or they can't. But I can explain the system pretty good, and I know what it takes to work on it. Like I don't ever install a Seakeeper where my guys aren't going to be able to service it. At the end of the day, that's any product. You sell something and you want to be able to maintain it, and that's your long-term cash flow is maintenance.
Yeah.
So that's basically the subscription service, which you're gonna need anyway. But let me ask you this: so let's say you have a boat, and it's not a center console. Let's say you have one of those lake boats.
Yep.
Like those the whatchamacallit, the Yamaha engine, the double
yeah,
engine boat.
like a jet boat or
You
something.
like a jet
that.
boat.
Yep.
Now you know how they're kind of like the middle of the boat is kind of empty.
Mm-hmm.
Can they put that Seakeeper on there, or can you offset it to the side, or it has to go to the middle of the boat?
So it doesn't have to be in the center line. It could be offset, but with the smaller the boat gets, the CG is going to be more it's going to be affected by weight. If you move something too much to the starboard side, and it's a smaller boat, it might list to the starboard side wherever the weight's going. You could always counter that with counterweights. I don't really like doing that. I like to just put it where it's supposed to be and not affect the CG, the center of gravity of the boat. Now the larger boats, like a 120 Mangusta, we've done on the East Coast. That took 4 big units, and at that point you just have to put 2 here and put 2 over there and put 1 like just wherever there's available space. And so you guys are like can I guess understand what I'm saying. The way the Seakeeper works is we have several different models, Seakeeper 1 all the way to Seakeeper 35, and the way we determine that number, like the 1 is by Newton meters of stability. So the Seakeeper 1 has 1,000 Newton meters of stability. The 35 has 35,000. So we'll take a boat's length at waterline, beam at waterline, and then gross tonnage. Calculate all that, and it'll tell us how many newton meters of stability we need, and that's when we start plugging in a Seakeeper 16, 2 of those, 2 Seakeeper 9s. At the end of the day, it could take a Seakeeper 35, but we don't have the space for it because it's just a huge unit.
Oh, so it's kind of like a more you can deal with this kind of like a Lego.
Yep.
Like as long as you're getting your newton meters correct, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
And
As long as
are they all connected with each other?
So they're independent systems, and they can be independent because our system's different than other ones. We use have you ever played with like the level on your phone?
Yeah.
And the Seakeeper has an inertia measurement unit, which has a potentiometer in there as well. So when the boat's rolling, it's actually collecting data. Like, so it's learning a roll period because like natural waves have a roll period, a natural roll period, and we're collecting data, and each one's going to act individually. But if
Yeah,
you
before
look
you
at
guys
And the
all
boat
get there, you're
It's gonna distribute as you're going, so not everybody's gonna be standing in the same spot the whole time.
Correct, so
you're gonna have like counterweight
Yep.
waves, and
Hey,
actual weight.
Miggy,
on
are
the
you
boat.
able
Yeah,
to
that
blast the
makes sense.
Seakeeper on a screen so people can see what we're talking about? Like if you can find the Seakeeper and then find the ride and
So
then
it
the
uses like
difference
a-
between two.
Like
It's
an
like a
AI
counterbalance.
to calculate that every time.
What's that?
It uses like an AI to calculate that every time.
No, so it's set. Each Seakeeper
Or-
is
yeah, it just has,
programmed.
like,
It's
okay,
programmed, yeah. So it's programmed to do the maximum. Like it's going to perform in its.
Gotcha. It
maximum.
just has like a
Well,
set
actually,
data. a
He's
data
asking right now. I think this question: how does the sea ride know the algorithm of what wave is coming and how fast it's adjusting?
So it's
That moves like super fast, like so many times a second.
Right, yeah.
Like,
the best thing to do is go to seakeeper.com, and then they actually have animations on the.
We could probably bring them up, right?
we saw it. We were just at the St. Pete Boat Show, and
Yeah,
you guys
that was
had
a good show.
display there.
Yep,
It's
we're gonna have a
pretty-
bigger booth. We're gonna have.
We're trying to get that set up, Mickey.
Were you there?
I was walking around meeting customers and clients. So how does the sea ride knows algorithm? So it's an active control. It's actually collecting. So
There you
since
go,
it's gimbaled, if the boat's moving and it's underway, let's say it's going 20 knots, the gimbal is actually just reacting to live conditions, and it's collecting it. It's so new. I haven't really.
But
dove
essentially,
into it.
it sort of keeps it like to a level, right? So,
Correct. Yeah, it's gonna keep it leveled.
I mean, not 100%, but
Not
like it's
100%,
fighting the
because
waves
obviously
and
if
the
you're
wet
turning-
too, yeah.
You're turning if you're turning port side and the starboard side of the boat starts to pick up, less.
That
of
works so
less,
fast too. Is incredible.
Yeah, but it's best to like show you like a video of it actually functioning and
We
like, how
saw
quickly the gimbal-
That's good, Miggy. As long as you pull it up, it doesn't matter what.
they were doing the rocking test
Mhm.
on the dock when we were walking by you guys'
It's that the
booth on
window
St. Pete,
itself is.
and you can see
don't
through the
stretch it.
glass how fast the actual ball just
Yeah.
like
So
like
yeah,
it's like
the Seakeeper
instant.
won
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that
yeah.
like
boat.
so fast that I can even like tell when it's like actual spinning on that.
You need to make the window itself. Make the window itself. So open, like go to the to Internet Explorer, like open Internet Explorer on. No, I can see it here.
Yeah, just search it.
There
bro.
you go.
You're
And
good.
now-
as you talking about.
And now do it.
So
So you don't have to stretch it out. You know. What
So
I
let
mean?
me ask you this while they're trying to figure out GhettoRig hashtag. So while they're trying to, so let me ask you this. So you said on some of the boats you have to like put different kind of Seakeepers
Yep.
here and there. Cool. Now let's say you take number 16 and you have another number 16, right? Like you need two number 16s because you need 36, right, instead
Yeah.
of 35, and that's all space you got. Does this number 16 with this number 16, when they get together, are they gonna be, well, how do I say it? Okay, let's do with number 17 and 17. They'll get you to 34, right?
Right.
So this number 17 and this number 17 together, would they have more control of the boat than one 34 unit, or it's pretty much like it's even?
So no, it's not necessarily that it'll have more control, but it would stable. So let's say you have two Seakeeper 18s, 36 Newton meters, and if you had the space, you could put a single 35. You're just essentially getting 1,000 more Newton meters of stability.
Mhm.
So what that difference is in the long run of the size of the boat, if we're talking about a 100-foot boat, 1,000 Newton meters, you may go from 86% roll reduction to 84.5. You know what I mean? It's not probably.
See a video of how
No.
it works?
No
He
video.
said he said there's an
go-
animation on their website.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be this one right here.
We can watch it. We can see it here, guys. By the way, so you can. That's gonna be delayed or whatever. Turn it a little more, Jay. So you guys can see
Seakeeper
it.
did a really good job with this digital company to do these.
Yeah, I was watching it earlier. I liked it. It's good. You can understand how the system works.
Make it full screen, Mickey. There you go.
It moves.
Oh,
way
so by
faster in
moving
real
like
life,
back
though.
and forth, it actually controls
Yeah,
that.
they gotta make it slow so we can understand what they're talking
know.
about.
So that flywheel is spinning. That's what gives you the
Yep.
centripetal force. that
Oh,
drives it.
So how
okay,
heavy
that's
are-
okay. I was thinking in my head,
how
how does
heavy
this
is
thing
that
actually
piece?
work?
So I should have said that in the beginning that the whole concept is using the weight of that flywheel and the speed of that flywheel.
Got you.
and
I
So
get
what
it's
it's
that.
creating
doing
a
is it's-
centripetal force.
yeah, it's
centripetal
countering-
Well,
force.
it's spinning too
It's
inside.
countering roll by applying nuclear momentum or angular momentum, not nuclear, angular momentum. It's displacing that roll.
And
Yeah.
these are the hydraulics you're talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
It's using every single, foot of torque it can to, stop the boat. I've tried to do it on the boat on smaller waves.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like you feel the force. So like on a continuous wave where it's like,
Yeah.
it's crazy, and it stops the boat like.
You know, I
don't
remember-
I've
what
seen
time it is, but it's
I've
super
seen
quick.
videos of like at boat shows and stuff of them like showing it off where the guy's like rocking this boat super hard,
That's
like
what-
two of
that's
them
what we saw at
on the
boat
front
show
and the
this
back,
time.
and then like they turn it on, the thing levels out, and they're like still trying to rock it, and it won't move.
What type of bearing this thing uses? Probably very low. Shouldn't spin it. So the way we accomplish the 9,700 RPMs is it's under a vacuum. We remove all the atmosphere in there, and we do that by science is cool. So we put it under a vacuum, and that's what allows Seakeeper to reach those RPMs with that weight of the flywheel, the heavy of the flywheel.
Got you.
If there was atmosphere in there, it would create too much heat. It wouldn't spin as fast. We'd probably need a different motor. I mean, essentially, it's a three-phase stator motor, but that's what spins up to 9,700 RPMs.
So by you removing the atmosphere, how does that? So obviously you're gonna need some sort of a maintenance on this, right? Do you guys open this up to maintain it or not?
Not if we don't have to. You don't want to. I mean, we try to limit any.
Don't fix it if it's not broken.
Don't fix it. Like, especially, you don't want to really open something up inside an uncontrolled environment. This thing's set at factory to, it's sealed. It's got.
Oh,
Especially
I
in the
got you.
environment
It's
it
got
sits
buku
at,
seals on it. Yeah.
to pull it in, it's like you got to put cranes.
So
and
you
stuff.
Not
get-
as that easy as they do.
Yeah.
So you get the piece
People
already.
see that and they think it's like a 3-hour job.
So you get the whole piece already constructed. It's all together. You just drop it in, basically.
No, we build them from. So when we do them refit installations from factory, like an OEM boat builder, I'll use a local builder here, Intrepid. They do it with the boats and the building process. The caps off the boat, and it's wide open in there. They'll set it there.
You said
It's like taking the hood of a
you
truck.
said there's a certain size. Is there a certain like can the boat be a certain has to be a certain age as well? Like
So not age, it just has to be built correctly, right? So we don't want any shade tree.
You don't want to rock that boat
Yeah,
apart.
well, I mean, you just don't want to take any liability that
The bottom is gonna fucking crack and fall out.
Yeah, so it has to be built right. I mean, we can do a core sample to make sure it's built right. Or by now, this company's been doing this since 2001 is when Shep and John created like the conception of Seakeeper. So
Yeah.
they got it down pat. We don't do anything. We go to Seakeeper. They give us specs that we have to follow, and we just follow them. But
You can always do
Gotcha.
like the surveys on the boat.
oh
to
yeah,
make
you
sure
can
that,
surveys,
everything-
hire naval architects, and if we're doing a big boat like a 100-footer and even a 90, 60,
You have to.
we'll hire a naval architect.
Yeah.
They'll
How
sign
many?
off on it.
How many of them you put in a 100-footer?
We did. It's either 4 or 6 we did on that 120. But last year we did a 120 Mangusta, 108 Ocean Alexander, several Vikings. But refits. That's our bread and butter. That's what we do.
Those Vikings are hard because they're tall.
Well,
They could get those towers like
they're just they're tall. Yeah, so
some big little
it
rods.
does. It's that's why they want it, because the captain up in the tower, that's the guy that's getting beat up all day.
yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it different. I've ran little center consoles with a second station, and I mean I wouldn't run them from.
Vikings the
Key
same
large
style
one,
we
too.
were in Costa Rica.
Huh?
Same style boat.
Mm-hmm.
think that might have even been a Viking.
So yeah, Los Sueños is one of my good friends down there running his service center out of there, and he's making. I'm not saying he's making a killing, but he's killing it down there with the Seakeeper work.
Yeah. So
Just working around that.
so once
killing it
once you
already.
drop this in, what is the maintenance part come in?
So maintenance is recommended annually, so every year, and then
So what is that? The hydraulic liquids that you take out,
we
put
we
in?
do so floor stabilizers. We kind of promote it as a 20-point annual inspection. We're going to go from the foundation up. We're going to check the integrity of the foundation, make sure there's no cracks, obviously any stress cracks. We're going to check the mounting bolt torques. We're going to check anything structural and that has torque applied to it or any kind of force. We're going to check the torques. We're going to change out the zincs if it has them in the cooling system. We're going to flush the seawater system, descale it, flush the glycol, top it off with glycol, and then from there we go into the hydraulics. We're going to check for leaks. We're going to change the hydraulic accumulator and perform a brake service, which is just flushing and purging the system of any air. Update the electronics.
And how long
as
does
needed.
that process take? Like that whole maintenance process?
We
It
always tell the
depends,
customer
obviously.
to allow us 2 to 4 hours, depending on access.
Oh shit! So that's pretty quick. Like if there's nothing wrong with it, and all they're doing is just regular maintenance, like half a day, and then it's done, and you're back on the water again.
Yep. And it's mainly just based on access. Like I said, if they're putting the units in at factory, they kind of don't have to worry about how easy it is to get to it because it's wide open.
Yeah.
They put the unit in, then they put the cap on, and then it's like, good luck.
So I noticed you said that for the Seakeeper ride, there's like you said it was 21 to 37.
I'll
right?
have to pull it up, but yeah, because we haven't officially started doing. I haven't even went to training. I'm going to
Gotcha,
training in
gotcha.
2 weeks for that one, but I think it's like 21 foot to 37 foot.
And then with just the normal Seakeepers, what's that? 23 to like I heard you say 120 foot. So
Yeah,
like how
20
big you guys go on those?
23 to however deep the pockets are on those boats. I mean, how mad are you at your money that you want this thing to not roll? I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
So let me ask you this: what about like what about the cruise ships? What are these guys using?
fin stabilizers. They're using fins, which they do have 0-speed fins, but fins are more underway.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is, they draft a lot underneath the boat. Seakeeper is inside the boat. There's nothing protruding outside the boat. You don't draft anything. You can run skinny water. And it's
So
21 foot if
basically,
you want.
this is from what it sounds, it's light years away better technology than like
Yep.
the old school things.
Yeah,
and it's
for
not
sure.
it's not new technology. So back in the Gap, I don't know the dates. I just know Elmer Sperry and Ernest Otto, like black and white photos. They're on the internet if you want to Google them of the original marine gyro. But they're like 2 stories tall. They're in steam engines, and they just couldn't. They didn't have the power sources back then to make it
Yeah.
efficient. But they had them. They thought it up, and
So
What was
how-
it called? What was it called again?
so Elmer Sperry and Ernest Otto, I believe are their names. They created, I think they created the concept of a marine gyro stabilizer. Yeah, there's my guy right there.
So right now it's obviously like do you have to install like generators on a motors?
It depends on the
for-
unit. So the way the actual units lie out, it's a 1, 2, and 3. Those are our DC units. They don't require a generator.
Okay,
They
gotcha.
can be ran on battery power, house battery.
And then the engine just charges the batteries at
I
all
think
times.
it's the same shoe guy. The Sperry's. Yeah, that looks similar to that. There's some black and white ones where they have like the whole crew of the boat. There you go. I think maybe not, but they were huge, right? So it wasn't practical at the time.
Yeah.
They had
So
no
it's
way.
like the Seakeeper is essentially water cooled,
It is water cooled. Yes, they do have.
and it's a water pickup.
They do have competitors out there that are air cooled, but you put it in a engine room that's
So you're
200
able to
degrees.
flush
Yeah,
it?
that air is gonna be
It's hot,
yeah.
steaming. So
Are you able to flush it every so often?
So when we do an annual service every year, what we'll do is we'll descale it. We'll run through the
Oh
whole
shit! So
system.
you don't even need to flush it on a daily basis every time you take it out.
You
Wow,
wanna
that's
put-
cool.
You want to put it on the lift, so if you're using it, you're coming into your your inlet, you're in your canal, you turn it off, you put it right on the lift, pick it up, walk away from it. Turn everything off it, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're designed to where if you're trailering your boat, you can run it all day, turn it off when you're pulling it to the dock, put your trailer in, pull it on the trailer, everything's shut off, trailer at home.
Yeah.
So, because when it's off, there's two sides of the system when it's on. So you spool it up, you press a little, everything's touchscreen now. It integrates into your Garmin's, Raymarine, Simrads. So your MFD, you can pull everything. It's just mirroring it from the Seakeeper.
It's like
You
an
s-
app to your
yeah.
phone.
One day, right? It might be. You press the power button, and then it spools up. There's a spool up period, depending on the size. Like the Seakeeper 1 is like 30 minutes, half an hour. It's up full running. So when it's up and running and it's available to run, another icon will pop up. It's like a ship icon. Then you got to press that button. So it's on, but it's in standby. Once you hit the stand, like you turn it off, like
Then that's when it
standby,
kicks
then it's
on.
locked in position. It's not moving. The hydraulics kind of store that energy and hold it in place.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's super freaking cool. So now you're running around, you're meeting the clients, and you're doing this, basically the sales part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? I mean, obviously you like it probably better than being a tech or
I mean,
right?
I like fixing stuff. There's a little bit more. I mean,
That's why you got the Land Cruiser.
yeah, right. Things a pain, but at the end of the day, it's so doing sales is, yes, that's nice. It's got its benefits. There's a commission structure, and you want to just sell a bunch of stuff and keep it moving, right? Service, you do get that satisfaction if you fixed it, right? And I always, when I'm training my guys, this is my mindset when I was out in the field. Like, I go to a unit, it's got a problem. Like, I'm not gonna let it whoop me. Like, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna whoop this thing. I'm gonna go home knowing that I beat it, right? Yeah, that's how I try to get them to address it. They go on there, they got a problem with this thing, and they need to solve it. But at the same time, I don't miss it. I don't miss coming home all itchy with fiberglass. I mean, it's the reason why I haven't been making it to the gym this week is, I'm in the build training guys and, cutting out liners and getting covered in fiberglass in 5200. But, yeah, I don't miss that. I don't miss that. That's the goal, is the guys are trained up good enough to where I have to minimize that.
So in your, like, this is basically a career right now for you.
For me, yeah, I
Yeah.
like it.
So what's now how easy or difficult it is for somebody to, let's say, create a company like that, to do that on your own? Let's
So
say, instead
it's to create like a dealership and be my branch off on my
Yeah.
own. It's not it's difficult. It's not impossible. It's not. I mean, you have to have an established company. If you go to seakeeper.com, click on the link, become a dealer. Look, I've done it. I've looked at it. I mean, I know that it's there. I know it's possible. I've ran 3 different Seakeeper installation service companies for people. Could I do it myself? Yep. If Marty does listen to this, I'm not planning on doing that. But no, I mean, I think the goal one day is that's the end goal, right?
Yeah.
Is to do it myself, branch off.
well, maybe you
Whether
can-
it be with Floor Stabilized as a
that's
franchise.
what I'm saying, because you
yeah,
could franchise
yeah.
out. Why not?
I mean, we talked about it. That's it's
Yeah,
it's
because the
been-
name is there. Why not?
been
Like, you
floated
give them a
there.
little bit of, no, I mean, whatever which makes sense, because that's why McDonald's
Yeah.
and Taco Bell, that's why they're so popular, and because everybody knows McDonald's and Burger King
right.
and
Starbucks. And
yeah,
s-
Starbucks.
So
Well, Starbucks. Is
you
cool.
were talking about cutting fiberglass and stuff. It made me think of, like, with a center, for example, with a center console boat, what's the, like, dumbed down version of how do you guys, like, what part of the boat do you guys take out to, like, get in there and install this thing?
When I go to a boat, before I go to the boat, I'm gonna start with the process. What size boat do you have? What kind is it? What year? And then I'm gonna figure out what unit goes in there, and then I'm gonna hit him with a really high ballpark. And if he says no, that's not interested, then I know I don't have to drive 2 hours to go get in the boat covered.
Yeah.
Now, but if I hit him with it and he says, "Ooh, it's a little high," I can always sharpen my pencil. But I'm already gonna know what unit goes in there, but then I gotta figure out where it's gonna go. And the short answer is anywhere there's space. So I will move whatever I have to move and cut out whatever I can that's not structural, and we can make it work. But doing this for almost 8 years, I have a pretty good idea of where it's going to go in the boat, what I have to move, and if I have to move a generator to where I can't work on the generator, work on the Seakeeper, I'm probably going to do that. I mean, that's Seakeepers, but because all the time we'll get to a boat and there's a generator right behind it and we can't access it. So every chance I get, I'll move the generator somewhere where they can't reach it and let them deal with that. But, no, it's
Well, no, because at the end of the day, I mean, you gotta fit the shit in there, right? Like,
So-
it's extra.
so there's some stuff coming in the marine industry. If you went to St. Pete Boat Show and Naples Boat Show, then Miami was just in February, and I kind of nerd out on the marine stuff. Been doing it so long, but like Mercury and Yamaha are coming out with some outboard engines now that a typical outboard engine in the past, and if there's an outboard guy out there that could correct me, whatever, but I believe it was like 45 to 50 amps of output at a certain RPM range. These new V10 Mercs are doing 90 amps at idle, so 90 amps if they have quad engines, that's times 4. They essentially have its own little generator in the back of their boat, meaning
4 generators working.
meaning whatever generator they were using, they don't need to use anymore, so they're leaving a spot for a seat.
Or using a smaller one.
Or using a smaller one, or they're going to lithium.
Or lithium batteries, yeah. Or solar. There's a lot of boats going solar now, too.
At the end of the day, if they're doing all that stuff and they're not putting a generator in that they typically would, and it's not as big, that leaves us space for a Seakeeper. So we'll definitely jump on board with that.
So, talking about boats, I want to kind of shift a little bit. What do you think about, so this was a couple of years back, we went to, I think the boat show was in Tampa. It wasn't actually in the Buccaneers field, I think. They just brought the boats there. They had this boat, the company, it started with Apex or something like that. So basically the guy that was telling us about the boat was apparently the guy that owns Brabus company that redoes Mercedes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
His son basically got the boat, or he liked the boat so much and told the dad, "Hey, buy the company, let's make it nice." So basically now these boats have like Bravo steering wheels and they're all redone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's a go fast boat. It's
yeah.
I can't.
It's a center console kind of, but it's more like you can get the fully covered center console that has a table inside and like a sleeping area. It's kind of like a hybrid in between center console and like a console.
Like a little pilot house, like it's enclosed, like it's got windows and a door. Yeah.
What do you think about those boats?
Those boats? I mean, I like them. There's a ton of different boats. Like what is it? I saw it the other day. I think it's a local built boat, but it's like Aerocat, and it's a catamaran, but it's got that small enclosure like a pilot house, and they got a fishing setup on it. But it's like, really, that's all I would need. I don't need a $5 million fishing boat. Like,
why not? No.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. Yeah. More boat, more problems, man.
So for you, like, because there's this big, like, there are two groups. People that say, you know what, I like outboard engines because they're easier to work with. And then there's people that are like, no, I don't want anything outboard. I want everything inside. Right. Where are you on the camp?
Depends on the boat, right? I know a lot of people do like express boats with outboards now. It's not my thing. I don't like it. It makes the back of the boat not look like a sport fishing boat. I mean, I'm also seeing how the sausage is made, so I've seen almost every boat builder. I know who does good stuff, who does stuff that I don't, wouldn't want. But I'm a simple boater. Center console, contender, something, no thrills, just get after it. I mean, it's tough to say. Like a $1 million boat isn't no thrills, but
that's what Honky's boat is, right? No,
he's got a Century.
Yeah. So we have two demo boats. One in Miami, 39 CVs, fully wrapped, Seakeeper equipped, obviously, but they're a little too big for the Seakeeper ride. We'll make something work one day with it. But
well, I'm sure. I mean, this is probably like that Seakeeper ride technology is probably something like they're test driving. I'm sure they're gonna make a bigger version.
Yeah, we've talked to them about that. They come out with a different unit for larger boats.
Your tank is too big for.
Yeah, and then if it takes off, why wouldn't they do it? It makes no sense from a.
The ride's gonna take off. The ride's gonna. I think the Seakeeper. We got over 20,000 units in the field, and.
In total, or just your company?
No, in total, like 20,000 units released. I mean, probably done over 200 installs myself, like managed over 200
Shit,
installs.
so you've done 10% of these total installs.
I mean, sold, not personally all of them, but I've managed, every company I've been with, we've always increased sales and knocked it out. But boating's a little different over here on this coast. I mean, you have to work for it a little bit more. Moving from Jupiter, a lot more, right? So in Jupiter, just on the island alone, in Admiral's Cove, you have
everything.
Vikings. I mean, we used to work on Michael Jordan's Viking, 86.
There's money there, so
Yeah.
they're
There's money here,
dropping
too.
20, 30K.
The big camel backing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, for them dropping 20, 30K is nothing. Where here you kind of have to nickel and dime them, even though they still have the money for it.
It may be nothing, but they'll remind you how much they're spending.
So-
I mean, it's always so, right?
That's a pride for them.
Oh yeah, it's but like I said, it's dime. a
They don't
dozen
let
over
that
there.
pass.
Here, it's going to be a lot more your smaller ones, your 1s through your 6s. That's what I'm planning for, and that's the range and the market that I'm after is the 1 through 6. Seakeepers, the 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. But like I said, you got to work a little bit harder for them. You got to sell a little bit more of them, but they're here. They're here.
So Randy has a boat. Yours is what, 24,
23.
23. He was saying that his gas tank is too big. What would you guys like? Could they do
Too
another
big
tank?
for a Seakeeper?
Yeah, that wouldn't fit in your boat. You said.
Yeah, it's limited in space.
Yeah, we do a deck mount. We wouldn't even touch the bilge. We put it on the deck. What's the deck look
I have
like?
a bilge, not a bilge, live well. Right
A
on.
live well. What's your leaning post look like?
Oh, right over the live well.
It can go. We can make it work.
So there you go, right?
Blanca at home's right now screaming, "No,
Yeah, I know.
don't do it!"
If not a Seakeeper, definitely like a ride would take.
The ride would be nice.
Yeah.
I was
What do you
looking
have
at it.
right now,
They're-
like
they're-
standard like Linco trim tabs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's literally take those, cut them
plug
off,
and play. Yeah.
grind out a little section, plexus, bolt, and they're in probably a day and a half.
I saw him at the boat show. Those are nice.
He's tempted now.
They have the.
It
so
makes such
they
a
ha-
big difference.
Yeah,
too,
they
man,
have the
'cause
fiberglass demo that you can actually see how it works. It's out of water. It's
Yeah.
it's just a cutout, and you can see how it works. It's pretty
You
cool.
would've never
like I
had to
said, it's
figure
new
it out on your
technology.
own. The
So
rider
when
would've-
people ask me about it, I just try
Not
to
at all.
just regurgitate what I read online about it because I haven't really got to mess
Yeah.
with it.
So now, what's the
Discounts.
I know,
If you pay for it by March 31st, you get 7.5% off the 1 and the 2.
yeah? So
write those dates down.
so what would you say? Okay, so sales, right? Like, because in my opinion, highest paid jobs in the world are sales. No matter how you look at it, it's sales, right?
Right.
Like, I don't care because even working in finance, the guys that making most money are the ones that are in sales, right? So with this in sales, like, what would you say? What it takes to get to be successful?
In our field, like I always repeat to my guys, service drive sales, and I've heard it repeated, but I believe in it. Our service work, the way we work on boats, from the time we get a phone call that they need service, we show up when we're supposed to show up. We just be reliable, responsive, and trustworthy. That's actually Fuller Stabilizers. That's our motto. But service to me drives sales, and if there is no service, right, the only, what you have to do to separate yourself to make sales is work. Be on the road before everybody else. Try to, if somebody calls, because the way the dealer network works, if somebody does reach out for an install, but they reach out directly to Seakeeper's going to send it out to the dealer network. So you got to jump on it. When you go measure the boat, you got to get a quote out as quickly as possible. It's all just hustling. And
Can
I
you
think-
do that? Can you do that on a spot? Let's say, like, do you have a special app that you can plug everything in? Is like, bro, this
Yeah,
was
to kind of set aside from what I do too is differently than some dealers out there. Is I'm trying to use technology that we have now, like LiDAR cameras. I can use my 3D scanner app. I can scan a bilge. I can put that straight from my phone and show them what it's going to look like.
Oh, that's cool.
Not too many people are doing that. I don't know anybody else that's doing that. There's a company out of.
Don't give away the sauce too much.
Well, I mean,
It
If
is.
there's somebody gonna do it
if
anyway.
they look it up, then good luck to. That's not good. It's gonna make the sale. I mean, you gotta have somewhat of a personality. You gotta be able to talk to them. You gotta be able to finesse it. The biggest thing too is knowing your audience, how to read a room. My sales strategies in Miami and Fort Lauderdale are different than here in Naples and Sarasota. But again, I'm from the Panhandle. I'm from South Alabama, so I can kind of blend into this area and make a sale if I need to. It's not.
So what would you say? Like, this someone is trying to get into sales. Like, you know what I mean? Where would you say to start off? Because there's a lot of sales. Like, I've done sales myself.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I did. I don't know. Anybody know what merchant services is? I don't want to take away too much. So merchant service is basically the credit card processing, right? Long story short, every time you swipe a credit card, the person that's providing you the credit card machine has to pay a fee for that swipe, right? And there's like commission, there's percentages that get taken off of
Right.
total sale, right? Now, that was like that was a tough job, right? Because everybody has a credit card machine, and you try to talk them into switching their company,
Right.
right? Like that's a sales, but it's more of a high pressure, like just kind of one of those is like hit it or quit it type of deals where you just go in and out. But what would you say? What would be the ultimate way for somebody to start in sales? Because at the end of the day, as I said, sales are it, right? Like because once you know how to sell something, it could be applied to different product because the talking to people is the same. The product is different, but the talking part is
It's
the
a
same.
big thing about, like he was saying, reading the room.
Yeah, you got to read the room. You got to know your audience. And I was listening to a sales podcast on the way down to Naples the other day, and their biggest, like, what was it? He was saying it's mainly, it's not the product, it's the playbook. Like, so you have to go in with a goal.
Mm-hmm.
When you start sales, you have to, like, what's your goal? Do you want to make, 5 sales this week? But you have to have a playbook. You stick to the playbook, and
So it's rinse and repeat.
yeah,
Like you
I mean,
rinse
really,
and
I
repeat,
mean,
just like anything in life.
the product might change, but I mean, the process is still the same.
Yeah.
You want to get them,
So if you were to do this all over again, let's say it wasn't the Seakeeper, right? Like if it was another industry, where would you go with this?
what industry?
Mm-hmm.
If I wasn't doing this right now, oh man, I don't know. Oil and gas, maybe. That was fun. We made a lot
But
of money.
would you go into oil and gas and sales of oil and gas? Or no?
No, I mean, maybe. So, okay, I get what you're saying now. I mean, I'll go turn wrenches for some money, for a lot of money. I'll do that. I'm not against that, but
Seems like you enjoy the maintenance part.
in this industry right now, I've done that. I've done it, and now like the only way I'm gonna run my own one day is I gotta hit check all the boxes. I've done the work. I've sold the units. I've installed them. I've managed the crews. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yes.
checking all the boxes
So
here.
it's stepwise, right?
Yeah.
Like, because the reason I asked this is because a long time ago I was having a conversation with the friend of mine, right? And he's a little bit on the other side of the spectrum where the way I look at life is this: like you come in, you show up, hard work, rinse and repeat, you do it over again, all over again. Then you become good at it. Now you can do it faster, and then just slowly then pick up other things as you go along, right? For him was more like, well, no, what you're trying to say is like some people work harder than the other ones, some people are this and that. So his thing was more like, oh, well, some people are privileged, that's why they're more successful in life. And to me, it's like, you be privileged all you want, if you're not putting the work in, it's just not going to work, right? Like from what it seems like, every single person that came to the podcast until this day, they're all saying the same damn thing, right? They're from different parts of the world, the different parts of the industry, and they're all saying rinse and repeat, do it all over again, rinse and repeat, hard work. It's nothing sexy, right? Like it's just continuous, over and over, doing the same shit over and over again. Would you say that's how you were doing it?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to start over into a different industry, I would do the same thing. I'm gonna wake up before everybody else. I'm gonna get to work before everybody else. I'm gonna study the stuff, whatever the product is. I'm gonna study it and I'm gonna learn it. And I mean, I'm not. Yeah, everything's competitive, but I mean, I just want to outwork everybody so I can. That's how I've managed to. A year and a half working in the field with Seakeeper to becoming a service coordinator, and then from there becoming a manager, and then so I think if you put in the time, and you hustle, you put in the effort, that time as a technician or that time doing the hard work is going to be short. I mean, you're going to succeed. It's not that hard either with the
It's not that hard.
The workforce that's out there right now, you just have to try a little bit harder than the next person. It's not that hard because I've hired a lot of people on all different coasts, everywhere in the state of Florida. The workforce it's not a great. It's in the pool of workers isn't huge,
the
right?
pool of the candidates.
Yeah, the candidates isn't. It's there, but just work
Limited.
harder than everybody else.
So what is the biggest issue, like, because you're coordinating these guys, what is the biggest issue that you're dealing with well, basically as a boss, right? Like
Right.
they're, what is the one thing that you're seeing that's like, that you're like, man, I just can't wrap my head around this. Like, why are you this way? Like, what's the biggest
This is
thing?
like current events. Like, were you listening to me earlier on the phone? Communication with kids these days. I mean, some of the younger guys are coming in.
Well, when he says kids, bro, guys, he's in his early 30s. Like like I'm gonna hit 40, like in a couple of months, right?
Mid-30s.
Mid-30s. He's in his mid-30s. He's pretty young, right? Like, probably youngest one here is Eddie, but then all of us are within our 30s and 20s, right? Like we are so us, we're not
me
kids
and Miggy
anymore.
are the kids.
Yeah, you and Miggy are the kids, but yet, go ahead.
These young men are, it's communication. I don't know if it's just, COVID was, it hit everybody differently, but man, communication. But also it's a very specialized product.
Well, are you having issues when you say communication? Are you having issues communicating with them, or having issues with like their responses, or what's?
I sometimes I have to step back too. Like I've been in the industry in this specific product for 8 years, so it's like a lot of it's nomenclature terms, and it's just.
Oh, I see
so
what
it's
you're saying.
Training, and
I gotcha.
And training is just that's. I wish I had another like somebody that could train, but really it's a specialized product, so I have to do the training. I got to teach all these guys
but
the way that I want
it's
done.
with every job, because like I've been in finance and then moving from one company to another company. Like the acronyms we're using over there don't apply here, so they have different acronyms here. So but that's just something that you kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
But because I've heard some of my friends say the younger crowd is a little more, they don't necessarily want to work more. They'll do the job, but there's like a sense of entitlement or whatever you want, however you want to call it. There's that where
Dedication.
it's like, you'll go and say, hey, you need to do this, and then they'll come back and say, well, that's not my job. I'm telling you, you need to do this, so it's your job now. But no, that's not what I was hired for, type of deal. Like, where I don't understand that. Like, if something needs to get done, I'm doing it, even if it's not my job, because overall, I'm working for someone, right? Like, if it was my own company, I'd do it a little differently, but I'm not. So, like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, you leave that application job title a little vague. So you can always say, oh, that's not your job? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Up to, but, not to.
There's no way to deal with that, but letting them realize that what they got to do is.
I mean, you'll have your outliers though in every job.
Obviously.
That's all you got to look for. I mean, they got to look at it this way, and it's all an investment.
So
find the techs you want to invest in, and they're putting in that. They're doing that. I mean, you want to pay everybody for what they're doing, right?
Obviously,
nobody's
yeah.
trying to make them do something that's not in their job. I mean, at least where I work, I'm not trying to do that with anybody. But if I see people stepping up, that's more money. That's a raise. That's a promotion. That's that's fast tracking you. I mean, that's how I did it. That's all I know. I don't know if that's the HR way to do things now, but I think HR, kind of gets in the way of some things when you're in this industry, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, there was I was listening to a podcast, PBD's podcast, and they were talking about California. And I mean, have you heard about that new thing that California is? And they raised a really good question. So right now, California instituted a new law that they're going to start paying reparations, but it's not reparations for slavery; it's reparations for racism, right? So and he was asking. It's like, so let's say someone comes from a different country, let's say from Mexico, and you've been living in California for 4 years. Like, are you and your family supposed to pay reparations as well? Because it's all going to be taxed on a state level, right? Like, are you going to pay? Like, you have nothing to do with reparations. Are you going to pay that? Or, like, how is this whole thing going to work, right? So, like, talking about the HR, California being the number one HR of the world.
Especially in California. Like,
Yeah.
For real, Californians want to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really trying to get people to pay taxes, huh?
At the same time, I guess you have to look at it as like, you know where you're going, right? It's just one of those things. It's like you at that point you're going there, you're doing that without a choice.
Going there.
There's your choice.
People that already live there.
Well, that's exactly what they said on the pod. They were saying like it's a very they didn't say it's good or bad. It said that it's a very good scientific experiment to see if it's gonna work or not work, because there's two things that are gonna happen. Either you're gonna keep all of your people in California, or all of your people are gonna leave, and the ones that are okay with whatever rules you're in putting in, they're just gonna say, they're gonna leave as well. And when people are gonna ask them, why did you leave, and they say, well, everyone else left, so I left too. You know what I mean? It's gonna be one of those. So
they ain't going nowhere.
It's a bunch of people running. Like,
to be fair, everybody's already running away from California, so.
Yeah, man. California, y'all need to stay in California in your own state, okay? Don't be coming to Florida, all right?
I can't believe how like St. Petersburg has become so much more packed of people within like the past like 7 years.
Let me ask you this: with Jupiter and Fort Lauderdale, and Miami area, in comparison to St. Petersburg, because I think Jupiter, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, they have kind of a decent mix of old money and new money, right? Where in
Jupiter's
St.
pretty, like, that's old money. But, I mean, it's old money and golfers.
Yeah.
All the young
So
golfers.
so in comparison to St. Petersburg, well, how would you say that area versus this area?
St. Petersburg is like a young crowd. Like,
So is it more new money here? Like the people, the customers that you're dealing
Oh,
with, basically.
customer base. I was thinking like downtown. It's a lot of out of state money. I feel like here, like a lot of New Yorkers, a lot of people like they're wintertime boaters. They come down.
Mm-hmm.
The snowbirds and stuff.
Yeah, snowbirds. But it's a lot of out of town. Whether or not they're new or old, I haven't gotten a feel for them yet. But Fort Lauderdale, Miami's like a lot of new. Like that's new money. That's they're buying their.
All the crypto millionaires up there.
Yeah, right. And then they're living in the Bahamas. They're bringing their boat back to the States for maintenance, and they're going back to the Virgin Islands. Like,
There you go.
you got a lot of that.
Yeah.
In Miami here, yeah, it's a lot of established.
So would you say it's easier to deal with sales over in that area than it is here?
100%. Yeah, they don't know. Like they just want the next best thing, right?
Okay,
Here,
I see what
you
you're
have
saying.
to kind of
Like
you gotta
why?
make
Like
them
what's the
want it,
benefit
right?
of this? Yeah.
You gotta sell it.
and one of the first things is you're gonna buy a new boat in 2 years, right?
I feel like here in St. Pete, you're dealing with a lot of old money because of like, for example, like the Bay had that whole stigma of like, you remember like the Fountain of Youth thing. It made all these old people come here. That was really a thing.
Really?
Like they really believed that. I remember learning that in class.
Well, they say
in,
St. Pete has old people and their parents live in Sarasota. You know what I mean? In Naples. You know what I'm saying?
No, like so there was a legit.
Yeah, that's kind of the logic.
There was a legit thing that they tried to like called the Bay like this Fountain of Youth thing, and that caused so many old people to move down here to Tampa and specifically St. Petersburg.
they're moving
Yeah.
from the villages to
Yeah, like everywhere,
this
all
way.
across the country. I remember learning about this in a class. We had like a Florida history class in high school that we had. To take.
Fountain of Youth. Have you seen that new news that there's like a seaweed like blob the size of like bigger than United
yeah.
States moving towards our coast?
I saw that on Florida Man.
Yeah, like
I
there's
thought it was a
literally
joke.
this thing is just like floating towards us. It's like it's in between Africa and United States right now.
They have
but
like a picture
the
of
course,
this thing.
I think they do. Yeah, you
See
can
if you
see
can
it.
find it,
Like it's
Mickey.
so big you can see it from outer space, like from a satellite. Like,
Oh my god!
it's the size of like it's bigger than United States. Like these sea
Probably
blob
see it
Oh
when you
my
go out on
God.
a cruise out on the Atlantic.
propellers get.
You get stuck in that shit.
But so you're saying the people are a little bit different here,
Yeah.
and now do you like it better here or over there?
I do. I mean, so as like I said, I was living in Louisiana. I lived from the Panhandle.
You ever go back?
Day one, occasionally. I mean, I haven't made it back to Louisiana. I need to go back and visit my people there. But like I said, the day one of moving to Fort Lauderdale, I loved it. I was like, I hate it here. I just can't wait to move. Now I miss it. But like the whole goal was to move back to the Gulf Coast, and I do prefer this area. It's more my vibe. It's like you don't have to. I hated when I first moved to Fort Lauderdale. I'd go out to clubs down Las Olas, and they're like, "Yeah, you can't wear hats," and I'm like, "What? Like you can't wear flip flops?" And I'm like, "I just want to go drink a beer." Like
Yeah.
this isn't my vibe, but
Yeah, St. Pete.
yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
remember-
literally St. Pete.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just you could just pull a block real quick and then
Yep.
then you're drunk. But
You-
yeah, no, it's a good feel here. I like it.
First
Again,
time in Miami, when we were first time in Miami, we walked up to a nightclub and we all wanted to go in. The guy's like, "You're not wearing the right shirt."
Right.
I'm like, "What do you mean I'm not wearing the right shirt?" He goes, "Yeah, it's like you're not wearing the right shirt to enter this club."
Yep.
That was crazy to me.
I have enjoyed like 5 a.m. mornings at coming out of 11. Like I've enjoyed that. That was fun. I don't think you're gonna do that here. Like
yeah.
There are pictures of that sea blob, but they're not the clearest thing.
there's probably some.
There's a
The radar.
image of the huge, blob comes.
If there's any fishermen listening, they know that there's probably some slobs underneath that, like some mahi.
Big old mahis.
Yeah, and they're saying like there's a whole entire like there's an
Ecosystem.
entire ecosystem underneath that thing. But the problem with that is because the sea blob is moving towards United States, it actually like cuts off the oxygen, and like there's a lot of dead fish and stuff like that. So it's gonna, what they're saying, if it does come around, it's gonna like significantly impact the ecosystem
Ecosystem,
in this
I
in the
think
Bay
it's
Area.
fake news.
Kill
They're just
kill coral.
trying to put the blame on the blob and not on the red tide.
Yeah, I guess.
That's what they're doing. They're thinking ahead. They're
Bro, that red tide is so bad. A
It's
friend
bad.
of mine was, um,
It's sad.
yeah, a friend of mine got married. He was actually on a pod, and then that weekend when he got married, he was like, "Hey, Sunday, we're all gonna go to the beach." So I went and meet up with them, bro. But the minute I got to the beach, I get out of my car, and I started coughing. I was like,
Coughing,
"What the
yeah.
fuck is going on?" And then later I realized
Eyes are
it's the
itching.
red. Yeah, it's the red tide. Like it was bad. I've never experienced anything like that. And the smell, oh my god.
Looks like a big old spill of oil on you.
That's literally one reason why I wouldn't want to live by the water,
Like directly on the water. Yeah.
directly on the water.
It sucks and it's sad. It's all up and down the coast. This week hasn't been too bad. The wind's been blowing, and it got kind of cold, so it hasn't been that bad. The smell hasn't been bad, but just white bellies like scattered
All over the
everywhere. It's
place.
Just
everywhere.
floating, you mean?
Just floating, just dead fish everywhere. I mean, I haven't seen any manatees this year, but a few years ago it was pretty bad.
That
Damn.
sucks.
Yeah, so I think they're just gonna blame the blob on the dead fish, but
Instead of blaming red tide.
it's really the runoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that whole red tide, they figured it out. Everything is this company that was dumping all those the fertilizer in the water down south, and that was literally like blooming everything in the
Algae
water.
growth, you know?
Yeah, the algae growth and but
Yeah,
anyway.
I had heard that it was like basically caused by us. So,
Yeah. So I
That
mean, it is
sucks.
what it is. Now, would you go back to Fort Lauderdale, Miami area? He's like, I want to wear my flip flops in my
Sure.
hat.
I mean,
Damn it!
And
it's not
traffic?
even that. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you can't walk into Elbow Room or Blondie's on A1A with flip flops, and I'm just no. I mean, especially like right now. Like if I were to go back tomorrow during spring break, I'd be like, thank God I left. I'm out of here because
Yeah.
that place is a madhouse. It's a shit show. I mean, a good friend of mine that lived right next door to me, and we both worked at Seakeeper. We lived on Las Olas and like 0.8 miles from the beach and from the strip. So. On A1A, so I mean, it was a good experience. It's done. Check the box. Done with it. I'm good. I don't have to go back.
Yeah.
See what's up. What's next? I
Oh.
don't really like bouncing like that. I've done that. Maybe in a few years. St. Pete's been cool. I'll see what's next. I mean, it might be forever here. I might,
Yeah, well, it depends
it
also,
down.
right? Of
Yeah.
like where the company sends you. Now, do you primarily go, St. Pete, Sarasota,
Naples. Yeah.
up and down,
The
Yeah.
coast.
like within an hour or so?
Not anymore. After the hurricane, was it Ian? Like that Fort Myers trip, like Sarasota, Fort Myers, just log jam. So it takes like 2.5, almost 3 hours every morning.
No shit.
So
Even right now?
yeah, it hasn't been right since. I mean, maybe it'll get better once. I did hear that in Naples around this time the year you start.
So
seeing
talk
all the
talk about that a
transport
little
trucks.
more, like, cause I know a buddy, like when the hurricane came through, buddy of ours said that his friend called him and said, "Hey, listen, I'm in Fort Myers area. Can you come by and bring a thing of gas?" Because I guess he was in Miami, and then he waited the hurricane out there, and then decided to drive up north after the hurricane. But then there was no gas anywhere. He thought he can stop by, and then his car ended up just finally like stopping in Fort Myers area. And when he was driving down, he said literally like manufactured homes on a highway, like just big blobs of water. So is it still like that, or they just kind of cleaned that up? But
No,
they're still
yeah. So I haven't been down to the beach in a while, but I mean, they've done a pretty good cleanup. Everything's back. I mean, there's still houses that are a mess. There's still a lot of work to be done, but it's not. We went down the week after, and it was just like it was heartbreaking. It took forever to get down. I think it took us 4.5, 5 hours to get to Fort Myers Beach.
Jesus.
We had truck beds full of stuff, trailers.
Oh, so you're talking about like not
Just
actually
270,
going on a
like
highway,
270,
it's just
yeah.
in the city itself.
Yeah,
Is-
on the highway, the traffic's horrible. But
why is that? Why is that?
I don't know,
Oh, okay,
excesses
so
are
she-
messed up, or just so many people have moved down here. People had to relocate from the beach inland, so maybe that just created traffic. It just seems. I just noticed it. I used to make it in like an hour and 45 minutes, and now it's an hour's put on every day.
Yeah.
So that Fort Lauderdale kind of, not Fort Lauderdale, but that area kind of closed up for you. So now it's more north.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy this area, to be honest. If they were to say, hey, we want to lock it down, we're going to open up, 3 more locations on the West Coast, I would stay in this area. I like it. I enjoy it. It's slower paced. but you still got Tampa there. You still got St. Pete.
Yeah.
It's a good mix. I like it.
And are you in St. Pete or
Yeah, I'm
you're
in
in
St.
St. Pete?
Pete.
Okay, cool. Now, do you get any of the seakeepers in like Orlando area where the lakes are and stuff like that?
We've went and serviced one, but not really. I mean, it's either they don't know about us or they haven't. It hasn't really taken off there. But
Do you really need one on a lake?
you need them everywhere. If you're on the water, you need a seakeeper.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't really get that many waves on the lake, but the boats still go by you on the lake. So
Yeah, you still get
the
traffic.
waves.
Yeah.
Yeah, traffic and the wind. Yeah, so. But yeah,
need the sea.
I mean, I have a cousin that lives there, and he's looking at a boat, and he's like, "I don't really need it." I'm just like, "Dude, you need it."
What kind of boat does he want to buy?
What was he looking at? I think he was looking at it was a Regal, like a 43 Regal or something. It was a nice boat. I was just like,
What's the? I wanted to ask. What's like
Big
the
boat.
most like maybe not
big lake. You think that's a lake boat? I'm
like most like memorable like nastiest boat you've worked on like.
I mean, I do have a favorite boat. The Grander.
Can you pull that up, man?
Yeah, we're gonna
think-
pull that up for sure.
I think it's a Jarrett Bay. You had to go Jarrett Bay Grander.
Grinder? What?
Grander.
Pause.
Yeah, Grander. I worked on that boat in the Bahamas. That was my favorite boat, just because like if I could have a boat, like this would be it.
Yeah.
The color scheme, it's gonna be like a smoke gray. None of those. Let me see. What does it say? Say
What was the
Jarrett Bay.
Jarrett Bay?
So you would get that. Is it a fishing boat or is it a yacht?
How do you
It's a
spell
fishing
that?
boat.
J?
J. Yeah.
Now, as far
Hey.
as for you, like fishing boat, versus a yacht and
There it
whatever.
Oh.
I've
Why
seen
would
that
you
boat.
prefer one or the other? Oh shit.
It's a walk around technically, but it's a fishing boat. Yeah. If I was gonna get a boat, like I've made it. Like here's my sign. Like that's all I need.
That's that one with that big cat in there.
But that's probably in the millions we're talking
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But
It's like that. What
how
is
big
it?
is that
thing?
thing?
I think that's a 46. Or
God.
Okay, so it's not a
damn.
50-foot. Okay.
But I mean, like I said, there's better and nicer and whatever. But that's like
The one like your favorite.
yeah,
your-
just the color scheme. I've
Nice
worked
boat.
on it. I got some.
It's got a big old cabin inside.
Oh yeah, it's just beautiful. The finishing work.
Look at it inside. Pull up the inside pictures.
Oof.
Oh shit! So he's got like a sleeping area and
Yeah,
everything.
Look in there. Look.
That's
like
the
a mini
Grand they're
yacht.
coming off of. I think that was going to
Look right
Costa
there,
Rica
Jay.
or
Looks like a
something.
freaking RV inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
pretty
bigger
cool.
Jarrett Bay there. And then there is a custom Haruko is a big boat that's pretty sexy. It's got like a carbon fiber toilet.
All right, now favorite boat, worst boat you've worked on.
I ain't saying that. They're all
Can't
good
say-
boats. I'm not saying that. Just in case their customers have one, I'm not saying that. There are. I will say they're not all created equal. Some of them.
Or like just if you can a memorable uncomfortable one that you worked on. Like that
Well, I
was-
mean, I could give you like scenarios. When I was out in the field working, like 3 weeks into a new company, they were like, "Hey, you're learning. You've got it." And there's a Italian boat builder that used to stick the seakeeper behind the toilet. So in order to get back there, you go in. It has a living quarter, and then there's the head, and behind the head there's like this little panel, but like the toilet's right there.
So yeah, it's got to
And then
come
you have
out.
to take that panel off, and then you have to crawl over the toilet. I had a
Oh
little
my
bit of
God.
a bigger gut at the time, so you have to crawl over it, and then it's an Italian boat, so like the handle for the toilet paper roll is gold plated. So like I know that's a $1,700 gold plated toilet because I've broken it, but that's the most inconvenient. It just makes you work for it. I have been stuck in a boat.
oh my god.
We had a lightning strike on a Hatteras 65 in Fort Lauderdale. And it had two Seakeeper 9s. And then behind them, it's all tight quarters. It's really small. I was looking at it. I was like, I got to get under here to wire this. And I told myself I can get under there. So I got under there.
Oh,
But I had to go over all this plumbing and these valves. And it's all jagged hose clamps and zip ties. So I crawled under there. And the stringers are only, I think, like 42 inches. So it's enough, but it's not a lot. And I'm under there wiring, and then decided I needed to get out. So started crawling back out, feet first, and couldn't make it out. Like I
You should have
got
jammed
stuck
yourself.
on
Yeah.
I got stuck on a hose clamp, ripped the back of my shirt, and then I crawled back in and I just laid there. And I was like looking at my phone trying to call. But that was the worst, like, because I thought I was stuck. Because the captain's like, "Hey, I'm gonna run. See you tomorrow." And then I did and then I got stuck. So I was just sitting there. He
Oh,
came
you
back for something.
lonesome.
He forgot his wallet or something. So he came back, and I was down there like, "Hello." Yeah.
Help me.
Yeah, it's really. And he was like, "If you can turn around, I can grab your arms and pull you out." So, oops, that it's gone. It's under the couch. That
Oh.
was the.
It's right next to your foot, Jeff.
That was the worst experience because I was down there. For
Oh, you said it. No, I was kidding.
I was down there for like 2 hours.
Damn,
Jesus.
that sucks, man.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah,
And then
tried.
what? Did you turn around and he pulled your ass out of there?
Yeah, but I was a little thicker then, so like when I'm trying to turn around, I was like, I gotta get my knees to my chest, but like they just got stuck. And, like,
Yeah.
so I'm like, I just remember walking my toes across I was barefoot, I was in shorts, my shirt's ripped off, and I mean we laughed about it because by the time he got down there, he was just laughing. He pulled me out, but
You're down there probably scared shitless. Like, damn, I don't know how long
I was
I'm
just
gonna
mad. I was like,
be. I don't know how long I'm gonna be
then
down
you
here.
start considering you're mad because you can't get out. You're mad that you got in there. Then you're like.
Why did
Mad that they sent me to this boat, and then I was like, all right, I'll stay one night, like I'll stay the night. He said he'll see me tomorrow, so then you start talking to yourself like it's not that bad, I'll sleep in this bilge. But lucky he showed up, he forgot his wallet. But
I'll lose some weight
Oh
while you
my
sleep.
God.
You
I'll
do your
sleep in
thing.
this bilge.
because you're in the engine room, my phone didn't have great service, and it's almost embarrassing. Like, what are you gonna do? Call my old lady? She's gonna come get me? Like, no, she ain't gonna pull me out of here. Then I gotta tell her that I'm stuck. Like, no, that's embarrassing. Just text her like, hey, I gotta work late.
I'm sleeping here like a man.
Yeah, I would have.
You were cheating. I know you were cheating.
Right?
That's why you
Yeah.
didn't show
Yeah.
up. You won't believe what happened.
You would have to take pictures of your ass stuck in there. Like, this is what I was
And then
doing
go
all
up
night.
beside.
I mean, it had it had those moments, and then it had, hey, we need you to go to Bermuda for a few days to go fix the boat within the first 3 hours, and then call them and tell them, hey, I need a sea trial this thing tomorrow. Sea trial, hey, it didn't go well. I need a sea trial. So I sea trialed for like 5 days. Spent the whole day just fishing. The unit was fixed. It was done. Spent the week fishing in Bermuda. Like, so, I mean, there was times like that. Couldn't beat that. That was probably one of the best trips. And then, you bounce around the Bahamas, Virgin Islands. I didn't go to the Caymans. I didn't go to Barbados, but everywhere in between we hit.
Nice. That sounds fun.
So if you would say you've traveled everywhere. See, for me, the thing was, before the job I had, I would travel a lot, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, that's like the dream job, this and that, and it's always extremely hard to explain to people. Like, yeah, it's kind of fun in the beginning, first couple of months,
Yeah.
and then after that, when you're traveling on your own, bro, like needing to figure out where to eat, needing to figure out where you're sleeping, not being able to sleep because the mattress doesn't feel the same way. And then, like, you're constantly going from one restaurant to another restaurant. Did you deal with stuff like
Oh,
that?
absolutely. Like, but it helps if you're in a bad relationship because then you just get away and you're like, all right, this is.
This is great.
But if you're
escape.
you're a single guy and like it just gets old. It gets old. You're traveling. You're going through like.
Because at the end of the day, like, you'll finish your work and you're already tired. Like, in
What do you
your
do? area,
area, you kind of know where to go, what to do. You don't even think about it, kind of like muscle memory. Okay, like, if I'm going downtown, I know exactly what bar I'm going to go to.
Right.
And I'm going to, like, when you're traveling, you don't know shit. Now you got to spend another hour researching where to go eat, what to do. By the time you're done with that, you come back, it's already like 11, 12, and you got to wake up 8 in the morning, make sure your suit's all
Yeah, it's not like
taken
you're
care
on
of.
vacation where
If
it's like,
I
oh, you
was-
do that work and then you hang out. No, you do that work and then you go to work.
Right. If I was frequent, like going to Chicago like 4 or 5 times a year, that was easy. Like I
Yeah.
knew what to do. I figured it out. I don't like going here. I don't want to stay here. But like, if you're flying into the Bahamas for a tournament and you got to fix something, you're gonna work till 11 o'clock midnight, and then you have all day tomorrow. Like, what do you do? Like, and then you're flying out in 2 days. Like,
Yeah,
just
it's
quick
nothing to do,
turn and
yeah.
burns. There's nothing to do. All your clients are out fishing, having a good time. They'll either take you with you, but you really can't because you got to make sure nothing else breaks. No, it gets. I mean, yeah, it would get lonely, but I mean, like Chicago, the first day there, I go to the bar, eat,
Yeah.
meet people, go to
Yeah.
bars with them. I mean,
So I have a funny story. We were in Detroit. It was myself and this other guy. I don't know if I've probably told the story already once before. So we're on a highway, and after work we got down super early because both of us were double teaming the branches. What we could have done. We could have, one of us won one branch and spend the entire week there, and then the other one at the same time the other branch and spend the entire week, or we could have just double teamed this, get it all done together. When we decided to double team it, instead of just dropping one off and then going to the other one. So anyway, so we would finish a bit earlier than usual because there are two of us, right? And one day we decided to go eat, and like, hey, what do you want to eat? I was like, man, I know Chicago has a big community of like, Baltic region, people from Baltic region, like, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and I know like Poland has pretty decent food. It's different. It's not something that you've eaten before, and I've had this, and I know it's pretty good. It's pretty hearty food, because kind of have to, like, that area gets super cold, so it's like heavy on potatoes and like fat and whatnot. I was like, all right, so they have these potato pancakes, right? They're pancakes made of potato. Kind of imagine hash browns, but instead of hash browns being like all like stringy, it's all more of a like a mash of like almost like a
They
potato
make mashed
burger.
potato and then pancake.
Yeah, it's not mashed. It's all grinded up, right? So we're driving on a highway, and we had to get off Hamtramck, is the area where this restaurant was, right? Hamtramck, super Polish populated and big area, right? So we're going, and I'm on a GPS, first time in Detroit. I don't know shit about Detroit, and so we take the exit before Hamtramck, and we get off this exit. And as I'm getting off the exit, and as I start driving, I see all of these houses. They all look like trap houses, and every single window is covered with tarps and shit. And these are the 13, 14-year-old kids walking around clearly printing, you know what I mean? And we're coming up on a red light. I turn around, I look at him, and it's like, bro, I don't care. I'm not stopping at this red light. As I'm approaching at the red light, the guy looks back at me, he goes, I didn't see shit. As a matter of fact, I'll close my eyes. So I blasted through the red lights. I've had some fun in Detroit doing that, but we were there for the entire week, and the two of us, so we were able to kind of figure out, because like, hey, one day I would be like, all right, you see what you want to eat, and I'll see next day what I want to eat. So when you with someone, it's easier, but when you're on your own doing all this shit, it gets annoying, it gets fast, it comes at you fast, like, and a lot of people, oh my god, that's like the best job, I always want to travel,
I
bro.
want to travel for vacation, not for work.
Exactly.
there's a fine line too, though, because working offshore in Trinidad, well, anywhere, if you got like 16 guys with you, and y'all are there for 2 weeks,
That's
it's
different.
not good.
Yeah.
It gets bad quick. Like 2-3 guys, if you're traveling for work, probably be all right. But 16 of them, like, then you gotta coordinate where you're going, and hopefully nobody. This is guys that have been offshore for 28 days. They just made a lot of money. They're gonna spend it. We're probably gonna get alcohol poisoning the first night, and there's gonna be a fight. Like,
Guaranteed.
That
right?
was the dangerous part. So I would rather travel alone than do that again, but in a different country, because it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
We're gonna get arrested. But it was fun. Trinidad was fun. Panama was fun. I'd do it. I would do it again, but I'm kind of over that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to travel for. I mean, I travel for work now. Like, you guys know, in like jiu-jitsu, like, I won't show up for like a
week or
And I'm
or
like,
two.
where you been? Yeah, and it's like I was in Miami for a week. I was in Naples, Fort Lauderdale. These boat shows are.
So the
real-
company pays for, obviously, for that
Yeah.
per diems and all that shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
which
they
is
pay
kind of
for
cool.
everything.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do.
That was the one thing that sold me on a job, was like, because my immediate was like, all right, so are you gonna give me all that money and then I have to figure out, or are you paying a per diem, right? Like, in a sense, that's kind of better sometimes when they're giving you a per diem, and then they'll like pay for the hotel and the
Yeah.
flights and all that stuff. But then at other times I would think like, why don't you give me all that money and let me decide what to do? But then I would have stayed in a shitty ass Motel 6s and like Motel 8s, you know what I mean? Now I'm staying in a Hilton or a Marriott. It's much
Yeah.
better. The restaurants, like,
taking clients to client dinners at Scarlett's and stuff like that in Fort Lauderdale, stuff
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
yeah.
What do you guys think has the best food? Like, all the places you guys have visited.
That's another thing,
Louisiana.
Go ahead.
Cajun food.
Yeah. Like, so for me, like, I've eaten in, like, you name it, I've had the food, like, from, like, your mom makes the rabo, right? Like,
Oxtail.
oxtail.
Yeah.
It's delicious. I've had rabo in different areas. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, at this point, I don't like I don't have like home cooked meals for me are like the best.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change that for anything because you go to a restaurant, you get the food, it's delicious. Don't get me wrong, but there's always something that could be better for your own taste buds, right?
Right.
Like for overall people, yeah, it's great, but then, like for some people, like oh my god, wagyu
You don't
steak,
have,
wagyu.
it doesn't have that love in it that mom,
No,
that mama put in.
Yeah, it's not the love. I think in our household, you know exactly how much salt you need. You know exactly how
Right.
much pepper you need. The shit that I like to eat most of the places, like wagyu steak. A lot of people like, oh my god, wagyu steak, wagyu, it's so delicious.
Bro, we tried it. Remember the day with
Yeah.
your uncle? I didn't think it was something crazy. It just. I actually didn't really like it that much compared to the other. Like, for example, they
Yeah.
had like the 28 day dry ribeye. That was way better
Yeah.
than the wagyu.
And I've
I
had
don't
wagyu and kobayashi and all kinds of different cuts of meat in different areas, right? Like from Wisconsin all the way. Wisconsin known for its meat. Like I've had for example, steak. People like, oh my god, I love steak. Like, okay, great. Like I like steak just like any other person, but I'm not crazy about steak. You know what I mean? So it's I think home cooked meal.
I
for
prefer
me.
like a ceviche or sushi over steak. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
What? So a buddy of mine, Alex, asked, "What's the biggest fish you ever
Yeah, I
caught?"
was reading that. I was like, is he talking to me? But yeah, I mean, most of these I do fish. I'm more of an inshore fisherman, but like work-wise, Bermuda fishing, it would have been a sailfish in the Bahamas. But it was I learned because again, I'm just a technician out on these boats that if it touches the leader, that's considered that you caught it. And we never weighed it. We never took it out of the water.
Yeah.
You pull the leader and you release it, but that's the biggest sport fish I've caught.
Wait, so they pulled the sailfish in and then they just took the hook out and let
Yeah,
it
you
go?
don't actually bring it out of the
Yeah.
we didn't bring it out of the boat, but they were like,
they
yeah,
throw you in the
all
water?
fist bump me. They're, yeah,
Did
I
they
mean,
throw you
jump
in the water?
Yeah, with a flag, yeah.
Yeah.
But fist bump you, and then yeah, you did it. And I was like, I wanted to hold it. Like,
I
like,
How
no.
big was this thing? do you
want
know?
to pull this fucker out.
it was a juvenile sale. It wasn't like
Some people just
I
catch
wasn't-
them to tag them too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do have a dream fish. I would like to
How big
kayak
you think
fish
that
or
was?
rooster fish out of in Panama. That would be like
In Panama?
yeah.
That bitch
from a kayak.
dragging your ass
Yeah.
like miles?
Yeah.
How you gonna come back?
I mean,
Seakeeper?
I mean,
zookeeper, long rope. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's like. But other than that, I mean, no big sport fish, no trophies here.
Yeah.
Shark, if that counts, every now and then, but
That's a big fish.
don't wanna
That's a big
don't wanna get
fish,
in
yeah.
trouble with anybody.
Yeah, the biggest fish I ever caught was a big black drum.
Yeah,
And I've hooked into a what do you call it? Jump out of the water. Tarpon. I've hooked
yeah,
into a
yeah.
tarpon,
Yeah, yeah.
but a smaller tarpon. It was about maybe 2.5 foot long tarpon. Came out of the water, spit that hook right out in my face, winked and left. You know what I mean? That's
What's the-
pissed
I
off.
would,
You
I would
like
like to do
fishing.
that
What's the
here.
biggest
Living
fish
here
you've
now,
caught?
I would like to go and like catch a tarpon on fly. Like that's one of my technicians. He used to do guides, so he said he'll put me on this year. But like that'd be a cool.
My thing is tuna, man. For whatever reason, I want to catch tuna.
What kind? Like a bluefin tuna?
Doesn't matter to me as long as it's a tuna.
Right.
Like as long as it's a tuna. Yeah, I just want
So
to.
he's
He's
gonna
gonna go to the
blackfin
beach
tuna.
I
and
don't care
catch.
which
Bring
one.
Jay-
This big.
Bring Jay a can of tuna real quick.
Yeah.
Let me toss it out.
No,
Let-
because I
let's
mean
get-
he catches bonitas a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
times, But I would like specifically want to catch yellowfin tuna. Bluefin, yeah, but bluefin is a different story. Like I don't know if I have the attention span to fucking spend 8 hours riding in a boat just to catch a tuna, But
Yeah.
like yellowfin, I think is doable, But I want to do some tuna. I don't know. Next time, because the season is about to start, right?
Over here, yeah, I'd have to look at the Gulf Coast with all
Yeah.
seasons run. But
I think I would want to do that. Like
I know they said on the East Coast, like the sailfish are popping right now. They just had Jimmy Johnson's fishing tournament. I had a few friends fish that, but
Yeah.
it's all work right now.
tuna and mahi. That's what I would
Yeah.
want to catch.
No,
the
you gotta
two
wait
fish.
till the blob gets here and start. They're gonna have some slobs under that
Just
grass.
wait for it.
The blob gets here, all the tuna and mahi
Just-
leave, never come back ever again.
They're gonna
They may just come floating at you.
just under there thriving right now.
Belly up, you just scoop them out. No, that's what I would want to catch, but yeah. So, what about freshwater fishing?
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah.
If I when every chance I
Any
get.
crazy stories with freshwater fishing,
Not really.
like
I
with
mean,
alligators and shit out here?
No, I haven't. I did a lot of freshwater fishing here. Since I've been here. I mean, I'll go to like the lakes around.
I've
St.
had to
Pete.
deal with snapping turtles. That's
Yeah.
always fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Those, again, growing up in
Damn, this fucker's heavy.
South Alabama,
This is
essentially, it's
snapping
just like it's snapping turtles, all that stuff doesn't bother me. But I mean, I'll hit a lake or a pond and throw a line and catch some bass. I mean, that's all I've done locally and recently. But I mean, I grew up South Alabama on the Yellow River, so we did a lot of freshwater fishing. But yeah, I mean, I don't do a lot of fishing at all right now.
Yeah.
Just working.
Port St. Lucie, when it was still developing, I'm talking this probably 10, 15
Yeah,
years ago,
while back.
when they were just still developing. Like they would have the lakes, and they just kind of like built houses there. And at the time, I was dating this girl, so like I would go there, and I didn't really like to hang out with their family or anything. They're just not like what I liked, so I would take my fishing pole there, and they had a bunch of fucking alligators. I'm talking about 10, 12 foot alligators. Every time I would throw in a fishing pole in there, the bobber would be in the water. You would see one just like come into it. So I was kind of like racing against the time. Am I gonna hook something? Should I move on to the next puddle of water?
If it's a body of water in Florida, man, it's likely to have an alligator in it. I've seen gators in pools here in Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
City.
The next to Rodolfo's mom's house, that house was abandoned for a long time. Like, every time you look over there, it was like green pool. At times it would get black, and 100% there was turtles jumping in and out. And one time there was a gator in there.
Bro, the craziest thing talking about that.
Because all the lakes in the area.
Like somebody has to like dump that shit in there.
Remember when we went to
How does no one see a gator walking around?
Think about it though.
Jumping in somebody's
there's the lake
backyard pool. You know what I mean?
But there's literally
What,
the
do you jump
lake
out a
across
plane
the
or something?
street. Across the street from them, right behind those houses, is a lake. None of those people have fences. I mean, we used to just literally, from Rodolfo's house, walk across the street, walk to that person's yard, and go fish.
And you know that motherfucker came probably through sewer lines somehow. You know, one lake
Who
to
knows?
another lake.
Who knows? Yeah,
but
I mean, they do definitely move like that a lot here.
the craziest shit for us. Remember
That's how
when we
you
were
see
in
'em in all the
Costa Rica
ditches and
for
stuff.
Uve's bachelor party, and so we're going from we landed in San Juan, and then we had to drive to San Jose, and then we had to drive to yeah. So and then we had to drive to what was this? Jaco. Yeah, and on the way there's that bridge and the river, bro. Like when the guy pulled over by the bridge in the river, it was like, you're gonna see some crocodiles, right? And we're like, yeah, whatever. Bro, we came over on that bridge, and these motherfuckers were lined up like logs of wood, just like
a car meet.
Bro.
Like a car meet.
Yeah,
Stacked up on each other and shit.
And like, you would think that they're small because how far away you are, but then when you take all that in consideration, these motherfuckers were huge.
They're just waiting.
Yeah, just waiting for somebody to jump off that bridge.
They had that one statue outside that restaurant. Like, no way they're that big.
Yeah.
But they gotta be close to that side.
Did your driver do any private tours, like give you food so that you can give it to the crocodile?
Nobody
or
was
something?
nobody was
No, you know what?
interested in none of
Yeah,
that.
no one
Stick
was
around
interested
them
in
parts
that,
for
but
too
I'm sure if we asked for it, he would have, because like our driver was
we
like,
hadn't
probably one of
even.
the
This was
coolest
just on
people.
the way from the airport to where we were staying. I was already hungover.
On the way there.
Yeah, he was hungover.
The
and he
whole
didn't
time
get
I
any
was sleeping.
sleep
They
that
went
night.
in, they ate. I was sleeping in the bus.
He
Randy
didn't
was
have
like-
any food, and
Randy
all
was
he
like,
wanted
screw
was some
feeding the alligators. I
food.
want to ride them.
Some decent food, man. We got to that restaurant, and that food was shit, complete garbage. I
I'm
don't
glad
think
I
you
didn't
even
eat.
got, huh?
I didn't eat. I didn't even
Yeah,
order.
I was gonna say I didn't think you even had a
Just
chance to eat.
starving and couldn't eat.
I was just done. I was like, I'm ready to hit the bed. The guy kept like, it was like mutton roads, so like it was like stop and go, stop and go,
Yeah.
stop and go, and then start getting dark. It was just uncomfortable.
Yeah, and you've been to
We
Costa
woke up
Rica, right?
super,
so you know how
super
that was.
early. Had to drive down to Fort Lauderdale to catch a plane.
Oh yeah.
3 hours down to Costa Rica.
Yeah,
Then
And
a
that's-
3-hour
glad I
drive
stayed my
to
ass
the
home on
place
that
where we were
trip.
staying.
this is all these trips I've done with my work. That's actually I have like I don't want to say PTSD from the planes, but like if the plane ride is more than 4 hours, like I don't want it. Like, give me a break in between. Like I can't sit my ass for
Give
longer
me a
than that.
3-hour
in a-
layover. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To Japan
Just
was
get me out of this fucking
like,
plane.
it was bad.
Yes.
16-hour flight.
Oh, Japan, you said?
Yeah, you wake up, you like
How was that?
I wake up a couple times, I bet.
How was your experience over there? That's like top 3 places I want to go.
I mean, we're planning another trip back. I mean, that was for work, so it was.
Oh shit,
Work,
with
yeah.
Seakeepers?
No, I was in the Air Force. So it was
Wow.
Gotcha.
TDY, but Japan and then Guam, which
Because that's what Ozzy did too. He talked about Guam
Yeah.
because he was in Navy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guam was like after Japan, I was just like, I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
How like counting down the days, but Japan. Funny story there was when I landed, a bunch of the guys that I knew had called me. They were like, "Hey, bring cope Copenhagen. We need dip. Like we need because it was either really expensive or they had the BX had some like off brand called Predator, and I remember I stuffed like 2 logs. It was 5 cans, 2 logs in each boot, and then rolled them up in my t-shirts and saw what I was going through because they were checking my bags, and she was just opening my stuff. She was pulling out and I was like trying to grab them and put them back in, and I was just like, no, American, like I can do this. And eventually they came over and stopped, and they were just like yelling. Like they didn't yell, but they were just like, what are you doing? And I was like, can I bring half of them? And they were like, no. I was like, can I bring X amount? And they were like, fine. And then this guy behind me could hear him give me trouble. He's like, I'll take some. And I was like, all right, cool. 'Cause he was going to the base too, but had to hook the boys up.
Did you bring all of it in, or they?
They got rid of some, but I was able to get most of it.
All right.
I left like 2 logs back. But I was saying I'm an American. Like it means something.
It means
to
something.
this
You're
lady.
like, I don't give a
She
fuck
doesn't
where you are.
understand me.
That reminds
She
me of
would
when I
pull
come
one
to
out,
DR.
and pull it back in.
My mom would always either like going to DR, coming back. She likes like, for example, coming back from Dominican Republic. They like bringing things like cheese and certain like things that you can't get here. That like
Well, you're not
buy them
allowed to
home.
bring that shit over.
You're not allowed to bring nothing.
Like all the raw stuff, like raw milk, raw cheese.
And
no
then-
seeds, no seeded
yeah.
fruits. No
But then like the
nothing.
opposite, like they'll ask for coffee from here, and like she'll take it over there. And I just remember like the first time as a kid going through customs, like, do you have this and this and that? And she's like, no. And I'm looking at her like, you fucking lying ass. You got all that shit in there.
you got a full
bring-
contraband.
So
bringing
funny
it
story
all.
about that. My microbiology teacher, like this guy had like 40 some patents under his belt. Like this guy, like was up there, like with patents and things that he was doing, right? So he would, anytime his friends would go to different countries, he would give them these vials of like clear vials with the lids and everything. He would say, hey, listen, like bring a sample of soil or whatever body of water you're next to, like scoop up some of that water, bring it over, because he was like doing experiments and pulling bacteria out of that water to create something, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that was kind of cool. Like, and then a bunch of anytime somebody comes in from Lithuania, we're like, don't bring anything, and then they'll usually end up bringing like because Iberico ham over there is like everywhere. You can get Iberico sausages, Iberico ham, like they'll to bring that, because I don't know if you ever try buying it here, like in Mazzaro's, like a little tiny piece this big and like that thick is like $60. It's ridiculous, right? And the flavor is not it, so they'll bring a bunch of like bread.
It's nothing,
and shit.
bro. People used to bring exotic birds from Cuba in their growing.
You saying used to?
In
No,
I mean, it's gotten a little tougher now, but they used to put them in like
Let that
match
bird
boxes.
not bite the balls off.
They give them
Bro.
like a sleeping pill or something, like a real small dose. I used to all the time. Oh, somebody brought like 40 birds. 40 birds. What the fuck?
In the pants?
Yeah. So like
They
they'll
used to like tape them.
they'll literally like wrap them in, I think, newspapers. What they were
They
saying.
used to
and
put them.
like,
The stories I heard, they used to put them in like match boxes, like lighter matches.
or I heard that they used to. I heard that,
Inside of the tube,
that
yeah.
they would take
Instead
the
of the tube for the
toilet paper. Yeah, that's what I was
They
gonna say.
cut
The
'em out.
tube. Yeah,
like exotic
birds. Yeah, birds like
canaries and
stuff like
bunch of,
that.
Like,
I
Crazy.
only know of my buddy bringing a dime bag from Jamaica onto the cruise. Like that's all I know about. He was just like, he did,
big risk.
same place. He hit it the same place.
Yeah, there's people bringing 20, 30
Birds.
birds.
Yeah, on
Can
the,
you
like,
imagine,
they're
just
like-
getting
bird, 20, 30
stopped
birds.
for that. Like, just take
I
your
wonder
pants
what
off and it's
what their excuse is for wearing like
Most
I
of the
know,
huge-
like the white doves,
You're
you're
wearing
with
these
your
huge
most
man.
airports
cargo
have those like
pants.
body scanners now,
Yeah.
so it's not like just you going through the metal
I
detector.
mean, it would be hilarious. I mean, what are you doing here?
yeah.
It's not drugs.
Shit, I watched.
You're just walking through the airport with birds.
Or you
chirping.
didn't dose one correctly and one bird just starts singing, because
Singing
these
all of a
canaries
sudden.
love to sing,
Yeah.
and so they just start singing
I
on the
watched
plane.
the
And you're
Border
pretending you're
Patrol
whistling. That's me.
lip singing.
Yeah.
I watched this Border Patrol all the time, and like the Asian people, some lady brought in a dead monkey.
Dead.
A dead monkey.
Why would
Why?
they bring in a
What
dead
for?
monkey?
What do you think?
Oh shit! No,
Why you think? What would you
I
carry a
don't-
dead monkey?
I haven't
with?
got it.
you haven't got it.
To eat it, bro. What you mean?
Oh yeah, I mean,
What you carry a dead monkey for around? You ain't gonna put it as a souvenir in your Christmas tree
Talking
the
about
other
eating
year.
out food, bro. I was in Louisiana, in NOLA, and then I went to this like oldest restaurant. It's right close to the
Yeah.
strip. You know what I'm talking about? It's like 2 floors, and they had their turtle soup.
Yep.
I've never had turtle soup in my life. I was like, all right. bring it over. They bring the soup over. It's like, the guy
That's
goes,
the national food in the Grand Cayman Islands.
yeah. So I was like,
I forget the breed of the turtle.
I thought they eat sea turtle over there.
It's
But I
sea
know-
turtle, but
yeah.
it's like a special turtle. That,
Like, I don't know
that-
if it's with like loggerhead or something like that, or
I think so,
something.
but they're like proud of it. Oh, I was like, oh, I want to eat like their local
Yeah.
food. I was like,
Highly,
oh yeah, we
highly illegal here.
yeah. Then she goes, the taxi driver. Oh yeah, it's the turtle soup. I said, what? Say that again. You said turtle soup, like actual turtle, sea turtle. They're like, yeah. Everywhere has it. I was like,
I'm
But
good
that's
now.
a saltwater
I'll
turtle,
sit
right?
out on that one.
yeah.
Yeah, you
So-
had soft
We had
shell.
spaghetti.
Yeah, I had soft shell turtle, bro. And the
We
guy,
had spaghetti that day.
Was it like a turtle sauce piquant, like red sauce, like?
no man, it was like green mucky watercolor soup. You know what I mean? And the guy brings this shit over, and he goes, "Yeah, it's gonna be very gamey and very like strange flavor." He goes, "You might want to put some vinegar in it before you eat it, because that's like the tradition, right?" I was like, "Fine," but obviously I want to taste the flavor before that,
Yeah,
right?
try it.
I put that shit in my mouth. I was like, "Okay, I'm never gonna stomach this shit. Let me put some vinegar in it." I put the vinegar in it, and then all I'm tasting is goddamn vinegar at this point. You know what I mean? So to me, it was like I get it,
At
but
what
like
point
why?
You realize it was a bad idea.
Bourbon Street's not like a. That's where I would not go for Cajun food.
Yeah, no, Bourbon Street, man, was another. That was the first time in my life I've ever seen anyone so drunk from a night before. Like I was 9 o'clock in the morning, walking the street. There was a kid like just literally sleeping on a sidewalk, like dressed in normal, nice clothes. He wasn't a bum or anything. He's just like, taking a nap. You know what I'm saying? Because it was
Just a
tired from.
college kid.
Yeah,
Taking a break from the night
and
before.
never have I ever seen anything like that before. Like 3-for-1 drinks, 4-for-1 drinks, and like they give you literally like the racetrack big gulp cups of drinks, bro.
For
whole bottle.
$6, like
Six
they're not
do-
there
yeah,
to make,
like $6,
they're not there
$7,
to
like,
make
oh,
money. Like,
yeah.
they're just there to get you fucked up.
Yeah,
And they
They
make
have a
their
good
money. They
time
make your
seeing
money
you.
if you leave on probation. Like have a court date.
yeah, bro. Like they literally would take a bottle of vodka. And you all know back in the day, that's all we drink,
Yeah.
vodka soda, right? Like four
And
for
it's
one
like some
drinks.
garbage taco vodka or,
Yeah,
something,
you're
or
like,
whatever. Like
Dude, they just started dumping the entire bottle into this
$2
big gulp. I was
$2
like,
vodka and orange.
damn, like I'm gonna die here. You know what I mean?
and
um,
all the drinks are all sugar, so you have the
Yes.
worst hangover the next day.
Yes.
It's bad.
And then what's the name of that bar? It's super cool when you walk in and got like these muskets like on the entrance. Like it's a super known bar, and like that's where they came up with that famous drink in
The Hurricane,
Hurricane.
Pat
Yeah.
O'Brien's. Pat O'Brien's is like
Patty
yeah,
O'Brien's.
the
There we go.
Olympian
Patty
bar.
O'Brien's. Yeah, that bar was super cool too.
Yeah.
Like as you walk in, like the main entrance got like muskets and shit. Like it's almost like a roof made out of muskets.
Yep.
Like it's inside the, it's part of the building, right? Like from inside, like as decorations, they have the muskets. But the food that I had there, bro, like is probably one of the best like flavorful foods that I've had. Like there's a lot of flavors going on in that food.
So my dad being from South Louisiana, like I grew up eating a lot of Cajun food, and then my friends, they give me shit because we'll go somewhere, and if I see that they have like a Cajun dish, I'll always get it, knowing that I shouldn't, because I'm gonna critique it and I'm gonna talk shit about it. Like I'll be like, why did I get this? And then there's like, you do it every time, and but that's like my go-to move. I'll see like crawfish etouffee, and I'm like, I'll get it.
Yeah.
Like at a Italian restaurant, like in South Florida. Why am I doing this? But yeah, I do it to myself.
Talking about crawfish etouffee, I had crawfish etouffee in Louisiana, and that was delicious. And then like, I think 6 months or 8.
What is this crawfish? What?
Etouffee.
It's like a butter-based, like it's a pasta. It's like a cream sauce.
And you have like chunks of crawfish tails basically inside. And then I've had the same thing in Nashville. And this girl that I was working with me is like, "Oh, I know the best restaurant. You should come out here." Blah blah blah. I was like, "All right, fine." And at that time, I was in Chattanooga. So Chattanooga to Nashville is like a 2-hour drive, but it becomes 3-hour drive because of the time change. Because Chattanooga is 1 hour behind, because it's a little more central, right? So when I get to Nashville, so it's like 3-hour difference at this point. We go out, like have drinks, whatever, get fucking shit faced, and then we go to get this crawfish etouffee. Even me being drunk, bro, I could tell that it was just complete like in comparison,
Just trash.
it was horrible. Yeah, but talking about like Cajun food, best place in St. Pete that comes 10% close to what would that be?
I have no idea. I haven't found it yet. I mean, I've been out. I've went to a place like in 8, and I'm still new.
Have you been to the
less than a
Mr.
year.
and Mrs. Crab?
No,
That's off of Park Boulevard.
I've
Yeah.
seen it. I haven't been to.
Yeah, it's good. It's
You
good.
should. I mean,
For me, it's good.
It's like a like
You-
boil.
I don't know what your
yeah, you can
standards
judge,
are.
It's a boil.
Judge it and let us know afterward.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I like
I mean,
it.
it's not like that. Like the boiling's pretty easy. Like you boil stuff.
It's
in
the seasoning.
Yeah, it's like
But
the
it's
A2
really how
flavors, the
much seasoning
gumbos,
you
like,
put in it.
Like I judge them based off of what I can cook good. Like, and I'm just like why are
Yeah.
y'all selling this? Y'all should stop.
Yeah, no, I don't think they have gumbos and any of that shit. I think it's
No,
just
it's just
mainly
boil,
just
like-
straight
Yeah.
boil.
Yeah.
Just-
No, I've had like a juicy crab or something like that. They're good. I'll fuck with those. Like,
Yeah.
it'll hit the spot, but no, I mean St. Pete's got some good spots and good food. I just haven't hit them all out. I mean, I don't go out a lot, and when I do,
What's the favorite place to eat here?
my favorite place?
Burger King.
What's wrong with you, Miguel?
I don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
at least
don't
you
know.
can
You
say
guys
Taco
tell
Bell.
me.
I know
I'll
you're gonna go
and
try
I'll
it
check
out.
it out. I don't know. I've been to some good spots, but nothing like to write home about. I guess
Applebee's.
No.
there's been some good spots in like Mad Beach and St. Pete Beach and stuff.
So there's a place that I really like. They're super cheap. There are two places actually. There's one. It's called Dead Bob's.
Okay.
It's off of Central, and there's
Okay.
another one. It's right on the beach. It's called I don't remember the name. Anyway, the food is really cheap there. Very very price conscious, but the shit that they have on the menu is pretty good for the price that you're paying. And if you, I think Mondays the one on the beach, and then Tuesdays Dead Bob's. They have, well, before COVID, obviously, you know, they had $2 drinks. Pretty much everything that's on a bar list is $2, except for really top shelf shit. You know, so if you're getting, let's say, Tito's or whatever, it was $2. You know, you would get, like, let's say, if you want a Belvedere or Grey Goose, that would be normal price. But, like, Tito's or, like, Good Vodka would be $2. So I got to get there. Like, their burgers were, like, $7 for a burger, and it's an actual half-pound burger. Like,
Right.
huge burgers that bring. You ever had pork wings?
No.
So it's basically
Like ribs?
basically pork ribs. They cut them up in a shape of wings,
Yeah.
and they deep fry. Like they smoke them first, and then deep fry them, and then they'll put whatever sauce you want on top. Some of the most delicious things. Like they don't have this shit on the menu. You have to order it like separately. That's super good. And
It's on
then
the secret menu.
yeah,
I feel
that's
like
the
around
secret.
here we have a lot of like good like Latino spots as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of good Latino spots. So there's
Like
there's
you
a
can always get yourself some good tacos.
Yeah,
within 5 minutes,
Largo
everywhere.
has some like nice little hole in the wall spots. Like I don't remember their name. I know I've
Which
been
one?
there. Like in Largo.
Largo.
There's a few spots. You couldn't tell me. I couldn't tell you where.
Like in this area, you have a lot of good Vietnamese spots. Like you
Yeah,
can
oh,
get
yeah.
really
I've had
decent
fun.
pho.
Yeah, I've had fun down the road by the gym.
Yeah,
I had a spot there one night.
yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of, like, it depends what part of Vietnam they're from.
Yeah.
Their pho, like the clarity of their broth, basically you can tell what part of the
I was about
Vietnam
to
they're
ask, like,
from.
how
Gotta
do
bring
how
your
you know
pho
that?
meter.
You walk in there and ask them where you from. Like
No,
You
no,
gotta,
see-
you gotta tell them to bring out a spoon. of
West
pho
side,
and
east
just
side,
dip it-
motherfucker.
Dip it on-
So there's
dip your pho meter on it.
so you know there's
Let me
a
see the broth. How
hobby
clear?
store on 62nd Avenue. Y'all know this? Hey, you know the hobby store on the 62nd Avenue?
Yeah.
In that shopping plaza, 49th and 62nd, in that shopping plaza of the hobby store, they have a Vietnamese place. They're from a different part of Vietnam, so their broth is clear, like super clear. And then you go to Pho 97 or whatever it is down the road on
That's where I
49.
went, yeah.
That's a little more less clear because they're from a different part of Vietnam. But like if you want some Hispanic food, I
Jay,
think
what's your favorite? Light or dark?
I like the lighter better.
You like lighter?
Yeah, I like the lighter
They
better.
get into. There's this thing in the.
Yeah, but I'll still eat it. I mean, when you're hungover, like pho is it. Like
Dipstick.
I literally swear by it.
I like the what is it? Vermicelli that they get.
Yes,
That's really
the
good.
vermicelli.
That's
With
really
that
good.
pork, like the
Yeah, that
the
one's
sweet and
good.
sour, like it's
Yeah.
sweet and salty pork. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you're ever in Tampa, if you want Peruvian food, there's a new restaurant that opened. It's called Aji, Peruvian food. Like it's right around close to the airport.
Right.
Super good. That food is really good. My brother didn't like it.
It's on the other side of the mall.
Yeah. And then yes, it's
So
not
the
far away
airport's
from
on,
there.
On
Yeah.
one side, it's on the opposite side of the mall.
Yeah. So and then there is if you like Colombian food,
Yep.
there's a really good food truck in Tampa as well in TC area, town and country area, I was passing by one day. I was super hungry. I was like, oh, let me stop and see what I can get. And I saw the whole platter on there. I was like, it's for 3-4 people. And I was hungry. I was like, I know I'm not going to eat it all, but I'll take it home and I'm going to get everything. But they had everything on it. They had like the steak on it. They had the potatoes.
Chicharrón.
Yeah, the chicharron. They had everything on
Fried
it. So
egg.
that's really good.
Sausage.
Depends what kind of food you're looking for. But I think Hispanic food is probably going to be like
In Tampa, you find a Dominican food truck like anywhere.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anywhere.
Every other corner.
Yeah.
Without even
Or
looking.
if not a Dominican food truck, a Cuban bakery.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah. And then there's another place down on Armenia. They're talking shit at this point. Crawdaddy. I don't know what Crawdaddy's
This is
is.
crawfish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a store in Armenia that sells fresh coconut water. They just always have bunch of fucking coconuts. They chop them up, put them in a bottle, and like you can buy fresh
Columbus in
coconut water.
Armenia.
Huh?
Columbus in Armenia.
Columbus in Armenia, is that what it is? Yeah, that place is
It's like a
pretty.
little bodega.
Yeah, little bodega.
place.
Yeah, and I
Nice.
think the lady is from Peru actually.
I don't know. I've never really been in there, but I drive by there all the time. I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
see
yeah.
that-
That they have.
They have a
really good.
huge coconut like graffiti outside and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's the one. But yeah, other than that, I think like rest of the stuff is just pretty like off the beaten path. Like it's kind of like
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much.
Terra
I mean,
Gauche,
to me,
if
it's
you
still a
want
new city,
Brazilian
so there's just
food.
so much. You can hit
Mhm.
almost anything you want.
I love getting tacos or ceviche. Like those are my
Yeah.
go-to things.
tacos.
like
You know,
walking
with
around.
that taco truck, the
Can't
Los
miss with
Homies
that.
taco truck
Yeah,
has
right?
pretty good tacos to me.
You gotta go to Huarache.
I like it.
Where's that
It's
at?
so good. Right there
So-
on 49, bro.
For
Yeah,
nine what?
so you
And,
know,
62nd.
Ding a Dong Market on 49th
Yeah.
and 70th on the other
On
side.
70th, yeah.
So like, they have like that little corner parking lot. They're on 70th, then 71st.
I'll send
What's
you.
the name of the
I'll
place
s-
again? Ding
and-
Dong?
Oh,
Ding
Ding-
a Dong.
Ding
Ding-
a Dong
ah,
Market.
Ding
You
a
seen
Dong
that?
Market.
Ding
Yeah.
Dong. Okay.
Ding a
Bro,
Dong Market.
No,
remember
but that's not the place we're talking about.
No, that's not the place for the tacos. Like that.
El Huarache Veloz.
El
is
Huarache
what it-
Veloz, yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
really, really good. And then if you're
And you
ever
should
like,
order a Huarache too. The Huarache is like
yeah,
this big
like
old
a classic plate that they have, yeah.
like quesadilla, and then they put everything on it.
Yeah. And if you're
Shrimp,
ever
steak,
like
pork, chicken.
Drew Street,
Every stuff.
Yeah,
no, not
good
Drew.
shit.
Yeah, it is Drew. Drew in US 19.
Mhm.
There's this place called Don Pancho Villa. It's basically when you walk in, it's like a bodega, and you just think, oh, it's like a little supermarket. But in the back, they have like a full-on restaurant.
Nice.
It is fire tacos, and Mickey loves the burritos. We used to go there when we used to work at Best Buy because the Best Buy is right there. Really, really
Yeah.
good tacos.
So you know where I was pretty surprised
place
that
we
had
went to in-
really good
in Brandon or
Mexican food
Bradenton
was
the other day was fucking
Oklahoma.
Well, we went multiple
Really?
times.
Oh yeah,
That
they
was,
do. They do. Yeah, they have
Yeah,
like a good,
Oklahoma
Uh,
had really
like
good
traditional
Mexican.
Tex-Mex.
Taqueria La
Tex-Mex, yeah.
Cañada de
It's pretty
Leo.
good.
See, but it wasn't Brendan. It was
I've been to.
Lithia.
I lived there for a little bit, Oklahoma City.
Yeah, Oklahoma City was pretty good. I was there in Oklahoma City when they were getting hit by the tornadoes, and they're like, "Oh my God, we got a tornado coming through." I'll turn around and I'm like, "Listen, bro, you got a tornado coming. I'm coming from Florida. We get hurricanes on a daily
Every other
there. You know,
month.
I don't know what you want to like. This doesn't scare me. Sorry."
It's been since the '90s since I was there. I don't miss Oklahoma.
No, there's not much to do.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, in Oklahoma City, there's not much to do. Even though it's like a major city, there's not like really not much to do.
He said, "Do you suck the brain out of the crawdad?"
Of course,
Yeah, I do that too. Wait, you don't do that?
you got to. That's where all the fat and the seasonings
You
at.
didn't eat the crawfish if you didn't suck the brains out of it.
Yeah, did you really eat a crawfish if you didn't suck the
Yeah,
brains
yeah.
out? I do that shit all the time. And then Boston, the crab in
Yeah.
Boston, like blue crab in Boston.
Boston and Maryland.
Lobster.
Yeah, and I didn't know
Jesus,
this.
lobster.
Apparently, they get all their crab from Florida, so it's actually Florida crab that they get it up in Boston. That's what the guy was saying at the restaurant. Maybe it's just that restaurant. I don't know.
Maybe that one because
Maybe
I
he
know
was
in
fucking with
Maryland,
you.
Maryland's like big on their blue crab and their Old Bay and their seasoning.
In lobster,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
They're pretty good with shellfish up there. I don't think they would need anything.
And
Need
then
any help?
Yeah. If
Yeah,
anything, they send us.
in
this shit.
Philadelphia cheesesteak. So there are these two
Cheesesteaks.
restaurants that are
Damn,
across
you
from
guys
each
making
other,
me hungry again.
right? And they're known like people either love that restaurant or that. There's always constant fight of who has better cheesesteak. And I went to both on the same day to try both of the cheesesteaks. They're
same.
complete fucking garbage, both of them, because they put that cheese with shit over the top of.
yeah. The
both.
best place is in. I'll have to find the picture. It's in the market that's downtown. Like if you're downtown, you go to the market and then they have a Philly that's made with like I don't know, it's like pork or something.
Yes, That was that. So the two that I found was that one you were talking about. I don't know the name, and another one was in a parking lot of a fucking Home Depot,
Yeah.
or
'Cause
Lois or
the
something
two
like that.
next to each, I have a picture in front of both of them.
Yeah.
But I tried. I think we got one of each and split it and had half of each one, and they were trash. I didn't
Yeah,
like
they
it.
were garbage.
They were soggy by the time we got to them because we just had to wait so long.
Yeah.
And they were just.
And the line is out the fucking door for some just sandwiches that with cheese whiz on them. You know what I mean? And I was like,
I mean,
Right.
I get it. You want to have it. It was like a staple. Like we got to do it. But the one in downtown, I can't even remember the name of the market, but it's downtown, like underneath some bridge. I don't know.
yeah,
It's a weird market down there, but they had the best one that I've had.
Yeah.
Philly cheesesteak. That shit was good.
yeah, because it's not like
Cheese.
the cheesesteak here. Like they're actually like the good ass meat.
The real
and
deal.
whatever.
There's like a meat market that does it. Like
On
legit.
that note, before we keep getting more and more hungry, we're hitting about the 2-hour mark. So.
Hey guys, I know the conversation kept going and I wasn't bothering you, but go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, all that good jazz. If you want to hit it, don't, you don't. It is what it is, But all right, guys, we'll see you next Tuesday. I've been slacking this week. Haven't done much about the videos, but I'm gonna try to get
It's
you a
all
little
good.
better
We're still doing
content
what
and
we're still putting in
optimize
the
it
work.
better. But thanks for showing up again,
Thank you for
Alex,
coming
as
again,
usual.
Aaron.
I was kind of.
Appreciate
Thank you guys.
I was kind of disappointed. Alex was in the chat and he wasn't talking a lot of shit, man. Like
He
makes,
didn't have shit to talk back to, man. We're just talking interesting stuff today.
That's true. That's true. But anyway, thanks, Aaron, for showing up.
Absolutely.
Again,
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Anytime you want to come in, shoot the shit. We're always doing this on Tuesday and Thursday. More than welcome. Like as you can see, my house is just kind of like a hotel. Everybody just kind of walks in,
Just
walks
open
out.
door policy.
Yeah, it's open door